we're just moving into this fourth industrial revolution. And I'm like, man, people are so asleep because they've been trained to be asleep. I look at it as, my friend, as the proverbial frog in the pot. We're just always getting like turned up the heat, turn down the heat a little bit when the frog's going to jump out, turn up the heat. And man, I think I've jumped out of the pot, and I'm like, look, there's a fire. You guys are sitting in boiling water, and I'm trying to get them out of that pot. And I think you are too. And now that you're awakened and you understand where we're at.
You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So, if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack. Or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
Do you have a nice tan going, or is that just natural?
Actually, it's a tan. If you look at my legs, even my arms.
Oh, that's look at you.
Yeah, no, but if you look at my legs, like under my shorts, they're even paler. So yeah, I've been sitting in the garden quite a lot, to be honest, and grounding. And when I'm doing my editing for the podcast and Substack, I like sitting outside. It's just really nice. Anyway, listen, let's just swap some stories. So you listen to the podcast, the one I sent you about me. You know my backstory, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's not go over that. So I'm totally controlled opposition, yeah?
Well, I hope. I can't be talking to the choir.
And since we spoke about a week ago, I have watched 3 of your movies. I've watched Died Suddenly. I watched The Greatest Reset. Actually, I watched The Greatest Reset first, then Died Suddenly. Then I've just finished watching The Final Days. Just watch the one with Karen Kingston in it. And dude, I just want to say, I'm sorry, I did watch it at 1.25 speed.
That's fine. Hey, 1.2 is fine. 1.5, it pushed the limits. I'm going to tell you. I can go 1.2. 1.2 is fine. I listened to you this morning at 2, so you sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks. But it was a podcast. A film, you got to respect a little bit more for the cinematography. Podcast, we can run through.
I agree. And it's the cinematography. It's also the music. The music is brilliant. And when you speed it up too much, you lose the whole thing. And so listen, I just want to say all 3 of those movies were amazing. And I'm not just saying that. They were actually fan-freaking-tastic. The way because not only is it really difficult, the whole editing, and getting the right pictures and the videos, and like the lady, the remote control, and then the little video in the TV, and all that kind of stuff, and the dancing people in the background, the choreography with the music, and cutting it and editing, and all the time that's involved, but then also stitching together the narrative, telling the story, taking people on a journey. Like, here we were, and this is where we're going now, and this is what's happening. And the thing is, like, if you just jump in at the deep end straight away, people just trying to go, you're a crazy person. But the way you weave it and do the film, it takes you on a journey and at the end, the only natural conclusion is you go, oh my goodness, this makes sense. So I think that's the skill. So bravo, my friend.
Yeah. I credit all to God. Like, he gives us these gifts that we need to use, and storytelling is something that he's given me the ability to do, and to use emotion. Like through all of us being, like, our journey through life, we've been propagandized, right, by the media without even knowing it, really. They know all the tricks, the bells, the proper music, the cameras, everything. But what they're feeding us was propaganda and lies most of the time. So I use that. And I tell people I make propaganda films. I don't even lie about it. Now, I tell them with facts and truth, but the truth is, I'm trying to prove a point here that we've been lied to, manipulated, and no more than, like, the audience has seen and like, well, you had your kind of revelations of what was happening was through COVID, but 9/11 was my bing moment, you know. I've always kind of bucked the trend. I've always been like, if you tell me not to do it, I want to do it more, you know. You tell me to do it, I'm going to be like, why do you want me to do it, kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? So I'll never forget 9/11.
Well, why don't you buy into the fact that these really nasty Muslims? It's funny, everybody says Muslims in Arabic. It's Muslim.
Yes,
Yeah. So
Islam.
why is it why are you not upset with these
I did
Muslims,
believe
these
it
towheads?
for the first couple days. I did believe it. And then I was like, then they said we're going to Iraq. I was like, whoa, whoa. And then I started looking at, the BBC said the building 7 fell down before it fell down. It's in the background. And then they found passports. And then I was just like, oh my goodness. I was like, could they be that devilish to knock down the World Trade Centers in broad daylight? And you know what? Yeah, they're psychopaths. Dr. Bragan, I saw you had Dr. Bragan on. Brilliant man, right? He was in the Greatest Reset. I interviewed him for that, right? And I was like, is it like Bill Gates? Is he like autistic or what? He's like, no, he's a psychopath. He was like, though the what he does and the way he thinks, it's not. He might have like hints of autism on the outside, but what he does and his lack of empathy is psychopathic. And that's who we are allowing to rule us, my friend. And when you allow the psychopaths to rule you, you're nothing but fodder for them. And now here we are with this pandemic and blah blah blah, and we're just moving into this fourth industrial revolution. And I'm like, man, people are so asleep because they've been trained to be asleep. I look at us, my friend, as the proverbial frog in the pot. We're just always getting like turned up the heat, turn down the heat a little bit when the frog's gonna jump out, turn up the heat. And man, I think I've jumped out of the pot and I'm like, look, there's a fire. You guys are sitting in boiling water, and I'm trying to get them out of that pot. And I think you are too. And now that you're awakened and you understand where
Yeah, but
we're at.
there's a problem. There's a lot of frogs that are laughing at you right now, going, "Dude, get in here. It's really nice and warm and cozy, you idiot. What are you doing out there shivering on your own? Get back in here." That's the problem.
You know what? Like, one of the beautiful things I love about making films is I get to interview the most qualified people in their industry, like Peter Bragan, like Malone, like Peter McCullough, right? But what I've understood is how ignorant they are. And I say that with respect, okay? But they are truly ignorant to the fact of the world they live in. And I think it's myopic. And look, I'm sitting there having a conversation. I'm quasi-educated, right? I feel I have an understanding of things, but I'm sitting here talking to people and they're clueless. They have no understanding of the world they live in. Right?
Right. So I'll give an example.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me your example, but I need to interject here because you mentioned Peter Bregan, right? Beware of meeting your heroes. Now, when that podcast comes out with Peter Bregan, you will hear me say how much respect I have for him. And I do, but to a point now. Because
But why? Why did you have respect for what gave you the respect?
Because I gave him respect because, like I said in the podcast, he was calling out electroconvulsive therapy and lobotomies way before it became fashionable. He was speaking out against his own medical profession, all the psychiatrists, and saying, guys, what the hell are we doing? Then he spoke out against the over medication. He said, guys, what are we doing? So ECTs, lobotomies, and now meds. He was like, we aren't fixing people. This is just barbaric. We need to give them love, compassion. We need to listen to them. We need to heal their trauma. So he was on point. And then COVID comes along and he goes, these are global predators. They're, and he wrote the book and he goes, these are global predators. It's complete nonsense. And, so now he's got 4 strikes, all correct. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, the guy deserves respect. He's out there alone in the world of psychiatry. But dude, we touched upon Israel and Gaza.
Yeah.
And he came out like a full-on Zionist.
Well, of
And
course,
I'm
because he has those presuppositions, you know. I
and
mean,
he's like,
yeah,
oh, you know what? Like, and I'm like, but like they're bombing children. He goes, well, it's the Arabs' fault. The other countries aren't letting the Palestinians in. And I'm like, hold on one sec. They're being bombed. Surely the problem is the bombers. Like, surely like the IDF should stop targeting, drone targeting, AI targeting, bombing these innocents. And he's like, no, it's the Arab countries' fault. They should let them out, and let them into their countries. And he just kept defending Israel. And the thing is,
yeah,
I don't blame him. So as a child, he admitted that, he was exposed to some video footage of Auschwitz, and he was like,
of
oh my
course.
God, they're coming to kill us. So as a child, he's been traumatized by these visions that people want to kill Jews like him. So he's got it in
Mhm.
his head, and it's fed to a lot of Jewish people because they tell me, I have friends who are Jewish, and they tell me it's reinforced that they are victims and they've always suffered, and they need to be in a position of strength and power to stop being a victim ever again. And they need to,
Well, also, when you have the mindset of God's chosen people, you're going to have a little bit of higher thought of yourself
well,
than these.
that came in as well. He came out with that. Like,
Yeah,
we're special because, and so you've got this entitled view of who you are as a people and that you're a victim. And now it's your obligation and duty to have the whip so that you're not whipped anymore. And that because you're God's chosen people and you're the good guys, actually, you can never do any wrong. And it's like,
yeah.
that's the myopia. So what I'm trying to say is here's a guy who's very smart, very intelligent, very ethical, talks about love, talks about loving humanity, but at the same time can't see the contradiction and the dissonance when it comes to a genocide. And it's like he keeps
Sure.
making
Yeah.
excuses for it. So what you're saying is like, you met all these people and you're like, oh my God. So what was your equivalent when you met your McCulloughs and your Bregans and your Malones? Did you have similar kind of things?
It's
Like what was
well, yeah,
happening?
and it's funny because I shared with you Malone. Look, I cold called these people when I was doing the Greatest Reset. We are deep into lockdowns. It was early 2021, but they were. Man, give him credit. Bregan invited me to his home. Welcomed me. Malone, we stayed the night in his ranch in Virginia, and McCullough too. He didn't know who I was, and we sat two times together. Took us out to dinner. Um, yeah, they were great. But like for instance, like Malone, I told you this, and you see it in the film. My friend, he didn't believe in any of the World Economic Forum, a global conspiracy. He was like, "This is just, bureaucracy. This is, people not doing their job," and it was like ineptitude. And I'm like, no, ineptitude is not premeditated. All this is orchestrated, my friend. And I laid it out to him. And you see in the film, it kind of like we go off of him, we leave him, and then we come back to him. He's in InfoWars, and he's like, these guys came to me and they were talking about conspiracy theories about New World Order and WEF, and you know what? I looked into it, and it's all true. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm not even blaming him because he has like focused on his trade, his craft, like an athlete. Peyton Manning, I heard, couldn't even open a can of soup, and he was like the best quarterback of all time, right? But like these people who are highly advanced in their field are so unaware of their surroundings.
Yes.
Now, Malone has become the fifth generational warfare leader guy. And I'm like, if that's the role he's playing, I don't know. If it's just an awakening and he's charging up this hill, good for him. I don't know. Uh, I'm not the judge, but I do know he had no clue what he was talking about in 2021. It's very quick. Now he's this fifth generation warfare guy. Anyway, if he is, congratulations. I'm grateful to wake him up a bit as much as I could.
Well, I think what you're describing is actually common amongst lots of different sectors in society. So amongst doctors, we get super specialized quite early on. So not
Mm,
only are you an orthopedic surgeon dealing with bones and muscles, then you're not doing general surgery, you're not doing any other type of surgery, you're not doing any type of medicine, you're just doing orthopedic surgery. And then within orthopedic surgery, you become a shoulder surgeon or a hip surgeon or a knee surgeon or spinal surgeon or pediatric surgeon. And then with even within that field, you can even become more specialized. You're a young adult hip surgeon. You're a pediatric spinal deformity surgeon. I mean, it's really super specialized. And they, don't get me wrong, they can be really good at that single topic field and don't know all the ins and outs of it. But then if you tell them, like, what does that actually mean to be healthy? Like, how do you stop getting diabetes and what's the best way to reduce your risk of cancer? They don't have a clue. Like, they don't actually know what it means to be healthy. If you
a lot of them
talk,
do.
if you talk to them
correct.
about reducing complications post-surgery and incorporating mitochondrial health and red light therapy and sunlight and all that kind of stuff, they'll look at you in a vacant way and think you're just talking gobbledygook because it's not what they know. They just think you're just being dumb.
Bro,
And
that's been only in the last 100 years. That's how quick the AMA and the Rockefellers took over the medical industry. I did a movie for the Maha movement, and so I get to deep dive into these things I never would really look into. And the human health services was the health and education welfare. They was health and education because they wanted to educate you on the health that they were trying to shove down your throat. And a Jonathan Emord, I got to talk with him, a brilliant mind, a lawyer who successfully defeated the FDA in court, one of very few cases. And he was just telling me, like, these are all built on socialist frameworks, right? They went to Germany, Russia. These institutions that we have, like the CDC, FDA, they're not governed by, like, we don't elect them. They're just institutions that we are forced to abide by their rules. And we just accept them as government. .gov, I must follow, right? But they're unconstitutional. The thing that we have over here that we are eradicating in our young populace of we the people, that is a brilliant document. When you read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, it's mind-boggling how amazing it is. How they could see into the future of what tyranny was. Jefferson said, you must rise up against your government every 5 years, unless it's going to override all your rights. And that sounds crazy now. Look, Jan 6, I was at Jan 6. I was reporting there. I was covering it. And then I got sucked into the rotunda inside by a Capitol Police. It was all crazy, right? I got sucked in, and then I was in there. And it was wild, but it was like, it was no overthrow of the government, right? There was, that's fabricated. Of course, every side's going to use it to their benefit. But what it was a people that were tired of this, were fed up with all the lies they were seeing, and they didn't know any other way to deal with it, right, than to show their anger. But when 6 o'clock came in the curfew, everybody left. It was empty. You wouldn't even known anything happened, right? But that scared a lot of people in DC. Like, oh, jeez, that happened quick. It's like the movie Ants, when you see the ants and the leader, like, we're way more than them. If they ever found out, we're in trouble, right? And I look at this of like how far we've gotten, especially in our country. Your guys are out of control. I feel bad for you guys. Like, the speech police in the UK is insane, but it's going to trickle down. It always does. And yeah, what I've uncovered in my new film, we are moving into a world of tracking, of surveillance, of control that we have never seen before, but we're allowing it to happen. We are allowing it to happen. And that's the scary thing, because I saw what happened with you guys. Just think at your childhood and how different it looks like now in the UK. It's crazy. And here, it's like, it's not a party system. It's when I break it down, it's evil. Evil is trying to erode in here, and evil is control. Evil doesn't want you to think, it thinks for you and makes you do what they want you to do. That's evil to me.
100%. Listen, what were you doing before COVID?
So it's really amazing. So I had a movie called I was doing well in documentaries. I just came off a movie called Omo Child in 2015. We won every award you could possibly win, and I was going where I wanted to go in my career, but I was really empty inside. And I remember December 26th, I went to a mountain in Mount Laguna, and I was like, man, I'm so depressed right now. I'm fighting with my wife. We're about to have another kid, and it was just real gloomy. And I was sitting on the side of a mountain, and I was like, Lord, if I was first of all, I look in the Bible if I could get a divorce, and like God was like, no, I hate divorce. Divorce is no. And I was like, okay. I was like, then like blow me off this side of this hill. Like this mountain's high. I'm on the ledge. And I was like, just take me home because I don't know if I can deal with this. Not wanting to kill myself. I was like, just you do it. You bring me home. He didn't. And so I said, I'm going to dedicate my life to you. Whatever you want, Lord, I'm going to allow you to be the vessel to just whatever you want. You have put skill in me. I'm going to allow you to show me what to do. And then he brought me to this place in Florida, and I thought it was to run their video department. They had been doing podcasts for 20 years, and they started doing a TV, so I was running it, and that's a step down for me, right? TV, but I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then 2 years into that, I started doing films again. But what was amazing at that time, my friend, is I was going around to all these places like the World Economic Forum. We went in 2018, 2020. And I'm like, the first time hearing Yuval Harari speak of a new sapien, a new uh, human being that would be a hybrid, that we'd be ruled by this cloud and by AI and algorithms. And I was like, holy moly. I'm like, what am I doing here hearing this? Then I would go to the Mobile World Congress where all the tech convention, all the heads are there, but we would go backstage to the VIP, to the meetings, what they're having. And when you go behind the curtain, it's all the SDG, United Nations Sustainable Goals everywhere. And I'm like, what is this doing at a tech conference? I was like, this is odd. But I'm not saying there was a poster. It was on every LED. It was huge, right? And it's like, wow, I'm seeing the building of this new world order, this fourth industrial revolution, this world that they want us to live in that's going to be so different. The sustainable goal, the 15-minute cities and UBIs and all these things and all these platitudes like no hunger, no poverty. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, this is how they're going to bring people into their own demise, right? Thinking that these goals are attainable. Then I'd be going into the United Nations and I'd hear and I'm seeing them. And then I'd see they have a room where it's a black, like cube, like rock where they go in and pray. It's like a prayer room. And I was like, man, this is all so demonic and it's all about control. And it's wicked. It is completely what I do with my films. If you don't believe in God, I show you that evil is so persistent that there must be an antithesis to the evil. There must be a good to this evil, right? People, the East calls it yin and yang. I call it God and the devil. And no more did I see this than when COVID came out, because I saw everything come in lockstep. We never saw the media and all these countries come together and lockstep move in sync. But then I dug and I was like, oh, these are war games that they're already, like we saw Event 201 was the game plan for this. But you go before that, there was Operation Lockstep. There was all these things that they have been doing. And I was like, this is all orchestrated. And then I'll tell you one thing. There is a documentary, and he's an English guy who made this, and it's called Rich Man's War, the truth from JFK to 9/11. It's like 5 hours of this guy just talking. But it is so amazing how he says how World War II was
What's his name again?
Oh man, I need to pull it. Every time I bring this up, I never have. I'll look it up.
Richard who?
No, it's called Rich Man's Wars.
Rich Man's War. Okay.
Rich Man's Wars, 9/11, JFK to 9/11.
All right.
Come in. Here we go.
By Francis Richard Connolly.
Yes,
by Francis Richard Connolly. That's it.
Bro.
Okay.
Bro, genius. Like, holy moly. And I'm just like, there's just so many people in our history, like Eustace Mullins. Eustace Mullins wrote a book called Murder by Injections. He was the first one to uncover what the Federal Reserve was at Jekyll Island. And then he was like billed as a huge anti-Semite, right? They always throw that thing and all this. But there are all these people like talking about this before I really never looked at. Man, if you look into history will reveal your future. And that is very true, my friend. You'll see the movers and the shakers of the time shaping narratives in their time that will be used in the future. In The Greatest Reset, I was talking to this guy, and he told me about the Pilgrim Society. You know, I know you don't know about it. You never heard about it, I can tell. You ever heard of the Pilgrim Society?
Yeah, they came over from the UK. They were like, weren't they like similar to the Quakers or something?
See, so the Pilgrims, yes, but the Pilgrim Society was a organization run by the Rothschilds with Cecil Fields. Okay, so I mean Cecil Rhodes. Sorry, you heard the name Cecil Rhodes.
I know Cecil Rhodes. He and the Rothschilds discovered and co-owned a massive gold mine, and
he went to South Africa and took over the diamonds and everything. So they're imperialistic. But the Pilgrim Society, bro, this is crazy. I found one of only 2 copies of the book, and in the book they show this dinner they had. They show the seating charts and everything, and what the purpose of the Pilgrim Society was to do. And this is the early 1900s. So you had Cecil Rhodes and the Round Table, Rothschilds, all this. What it was to do was to set up the world press. Okay. And in this, they said, we are going to rule and govern the world through media, through newspapers. So you saw what happened when the Rothschilds shorted with the stock market with Napoleon, right? They controlled the press and said, oh man, it's terrible. He won, and like, it's going to come, everything's going to collapse. And he shorted everybody, and they got all their wealth, right? They understood the power of the press. Inside that, they said that the CIA, MI6, all was going to be born from that. We can shape the narratives by releasing things we want to, telling lies we want to, moving the truth. And have you just seen that through your whole history? Have you, like, Netflix is nothing but a every narrative that you want to see shaped in their image will be put on Netflix. None of my films will ever be shown on Netflix. YouTube wouldn't even allow Died Suddenly to upload before it got cut off because it was medical misinformation. Last week, I tried to upload it, and it uploaded. Died Suddenly uploaded, but it got struck because I used Pink Floyd's Sheep at the beginning. So it got hit by copyright for that, but not medical information anymore. So that tells you there are people in position to gatekeepers of our information. Now me and you are talking across seas, and this is very dangerous for them to proceed in their plans. They used to lock people up like this in the 80s or kill them, like Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper was killed on his own property, but he was talking about this for years, right? Behold the Pale White Horse was his book that kind of opened up all this stuff.
I know him.
Yeah. So they used to just kill you, throw you in jail. A lot of times they throw you in jail, no doubt. while I was making The Greatest Reset, I had my side door of my house ripped off its hinges and put in my front yard. Very, very unusual, very frightening for my kids and my wife. I kind of didn't want to take this route. If you look at my earlier films, they're not like conspiracy theories, right? They're beautiful films about amazing things, right? But I had to come to grips was, am I going to make a living just satisfying myself using my skills to make films just to entertain? Or right now is I don't see anything. It's like what you did with your work. You're a great doctor, you could make a great living, but you're like, hey, my conscience is making me go a different route right now. And I believe that's God tapping in and say, hey, I put you here. I opened your eyes. We have veils over our eyes. In the Bible, they call them veils, right? Peter McCullough, when I was first interviewing him in 2021, had no idea who I was. I really had no idea who he was. I just knew that they were cutting his balls off from his industry, right? They were like, you are no one to listen to, even though he's the most peer-reviewed, has the most peer-reviewed papers in his field in the history of medicine. But now he's a quack, right? The word quackery was developed in the 1900s from the Rockefellers to say homeopathic medicine is quackery. You need a standardized AMA certificate where we push pharmaceuticals down your throat. If you don't, you're out of here. You're a quack. So they did this to Peter McCullough. So I interviewed him, and he wouldn't say this on Fox News. He wouldn't say this on Rogan or whatever, but he told me very plain and simple, I have never seen people in my industry not care for the sick and turn them away. And he said, there's a veil over their eyes, and all I can think about is Satan. Because he's a believer, but he's a lukewarm believer to a degree, which a lot of people are. The path is narrow, right? Not to say I'm some kind of like sanctimonious person, but you have to call it out what it is. And we are living in evil times right now, where pedophiles get off, but Dr. Kirk Morg is facing 35 years in prison. Like, this is the reality we live in. If we stay silent, we are just going to be fodder. And you know what? Sometimes when you are vocal and do the right thing, they come after you. That's when we need to build up and come up and help. And that's what we did with Kirk Moore. You know the story, you had him on. Bro, that was encouraging. That victory was encouraging.
It was wonderful. It was very encouraging. We'll talk about Kirk in a sec. Right. I can't disagree with any of what you've just said. I think there is a spiritual war going on. It doesn't make sense otherwise. It's not just about money. It's not just about power. There's something very bizarre going on. And it's the Bible does say it's the love of money is the root of all evil. It is the love of money. I have misquoted it when I've tweeted it. It's not just money. Money per se is just a vehicle, a mode of exchange, but it's the love of money and also power. I think, at one point in one of your movies, you talk about how people sell their soul to the devil to get ahead, to get famous, to get, be successful, to get rich. I think there's a lot of that. I think there's a lot of soul selling going on, more than we realize. And, that contract, that contract isn't like in front of the devil, like literally. I think a lot of it is just done in the head and the minds. People sell that. People know what's right and what's wrong, but they choose, to stay quiet when it really matters because they know.
They say in the Bible, everybody knows God. Everybody has a sense of God at one point. They either reject it or they search for him, right? He brings them to you. And I used to think, I was like, okay, it's evil, it's like demonic, it's some demonic influences for sure. They say like they tap into another dimension to have these revelations, these dreams, where Ray Kurzweil will have a lot of his enlightenment, or Steve Jobs, right? And you look at the Watchers who in the book of Enoch, who came down from Mount Hermon, and they gave men use of weaponry, forging different metals, alchemy, even to women to put makeup on, right? So we're seeing this now in a different paradigm, in this new world of nanotechnology, of quantum computing. Dude, Gordy Rose, I think his name, he built a computer called Demon, which was one of the first quantum computers, saying he's tapping into another dimension. They use this word another dimension quite often, these new pseudoscientists, right? But scientism is a religion, okay? And we've seen that now with COVID, is like benevolent leaders, you know everything, we don't, give us the right cure and answer because we're scared, right? That's what they feed you on. And a lot of people become Christian or faith-based because they're scared of death. They want that ticket out of death, right? Like, I didn't want to live. I get it, right? But that's not the reason to become a Christian for sure. It's to live here with boldness, right? Because you don't fear death, but it's not a get out of jail thing. That's crazy. But when we look at their writings in the final days, I explore this. Technology is neutral. Money is neutral. It's what you do with it that is either good or bad. And time after time, we see new technology used for evil. We saw it all with weaponry. The Oppenheimer said, I become, death. Like the Wright brothers. I didn't realize how much the Wright brothers really were sad and wish they would never had invented flying the airplane, because it was used right after that for World War I and II. And they would cry and they would think, wow, what have we done? Same thing with this technology, my friend. In 2008, no, 2006, I'm sorry, 2006, I was in Dallas, and I was brought in to do a documentary with this company, and it was about nanotechnology. No one has heard about this, right? So I went to UTD, University of Texas, Dallas, and I went to their labs, and there was this brilliant old Soviet Union doctor, like scientist guy. And he was telling me about all these things that they're doing, but what they have just discovered is nanotechnology, where they can manipulate nanoparticles, change the molecular structure of these things. And I was like, okay. So I went in there and went to the lab, saw what they're doing. And I saw this, like, in this case, it was like this material was kind of waving like this. And then he did something with the frequency and went, boom, and it went to like steel. It was hard as steel. And I was like, holy moly. Like, he was like telling me all this stuff, dude, I don't understand it. But then I went to the symposium where they were talking about what they're going to do with it. Prince Andrew was there as this, like, some figurehead, right? He was like, oh, we'll make some tennis rackets with it, like, that won't break. And he didn't know. But you know who was there? Lockheed Martin was there. Raytheon was there. And they know what they're going to do with that technology. Now we've seen that technology go inside of us, right? We've seen the discovery of graphene oxide. Just 2008, we discovered this. Nanotechnology, 2004, 2006, it started being discovered. And then mRNA, changing things that will fight things inside our body now and replicate things that we have. And they lied to us so much, you know it, my friend, that they said it was going to be localized in the arm. And then the Japanese study found it deposited in the ovaries. Why the ovaries? This is all depopulation. This is like died suddenly was me going without embalmers and traveling with Richard Hirschman while he was finding these obstructions inside bodies. But that was only kind of like that was only the sensational kind of candy that would bring people like, holy moly, like, what the heck? The overriding, the theme of Died Suddenly is depopulation. And that's what they want. That's what they've been wanting since eugenics rolled out. And all the people involved with the eugenics are all the people who are in powerful positions.
And you know, the way you say all this, I mean, to the average person on the street, if they heard this, they'd be like, wow, this is crazy talk. But the brilliant thing about your movies is that, you know, you use their words. Like, you literally hear them say it. You get to their books and you read the passages, you hear them at the podium, you hear them on their own interviews. So it's not crazy because they're literally saying it with their own words. They talk
Yeah,
about
it
the
sounds
fact.
crazy for me. You're right, because I'm like, I shotgun all these people with all this stuff. I'm like, and I'll go to my kids' event with their parents. And it's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I make movies, and then I shotgun them with all this stuff, and they're like, that guy's fucking crazy. And I'm like, my bad, my bad. I was like, just go watch my movie, and you'll understand it a little bit more. But it's like, if you see it, you know it, man. When you come awake and you see it, you want to share it because you love humanity. You like The Matrix is such a beautiful movie. It really is they call, it's kind of cliche now, but when you look at it, it really is taking that red or blue pill to stay in or get out. And I don't want to live in a false reality,
I don't want to
right?
live in a false reality. Why? And this is why I left. I could have fought the system and stayed and found new hospitals and rebuilt my career over years and months. But the noose was around my neck. I knew I was in the crosshairs. And did I even want to do it at that time? I was just like, I don't want to be part of this sick system. It's so fundamentally, and don't get me wrong, look, most people in the medical system are good people, well intentioned. They're just
Yes.
heavily ignorant and heavily indoctrinated and brainwashed. And also, good stuff does happen. Like if you're in a car crash, we do a great job putting you back together again. I was part of that system. I did that. But we're rubbish at preventative healthcare. We're rubbish at making people really healthy. We're great at getting you hooked onto drugs and keeping you on drugs. We don't really cure you. If we did cure you, why do you need a repeat prescription? So there's real problems with the medical system and the introduction of guidelines and protocols and the way the licensing system works. We've become automatons. The clinicians are now technicians, and we trod all over medical ethics. And so I fundamentally was at a crisis point in my life. I was like, on one side, I've got this steady career, really good income, but it means staying within this devilish system where I am deemed to be a freak and a nut job. Or I leave that system and embrace insecurity and the unknown, but I get to serve in the army of good and light and God
Mm.
and do something I really believe in and get to meet wonderful people like yourself. And I chose the latter. And I'm like you just can't go back anymore. You just can't go back. And one of the things about your movies, why it's so powerful is, look, we've spent a lifetime being brainwashed and indoctrinated, like literally from the womb onwards, right? You cannot undo that level of deep, deep inherent programming in a 30-second pitch, a 1-minute conversation, or even a 5-minute conversation. You literally need to use the weapons of the enemy, propaganda, which you do beautifully, but good. Like your propaganda isn't coercing and manipulating people to do self-harm and self-sabotage and drink poison and inject poison in them. Your propaganda is waking people up to what's happening and empowering them to make the right choices in life and to be aware of the dangers all around them. So that's not bad propaganda. But it takes a movie. It takes several movies to do that. And that's the power of the medium that you are gifted at, that
I think
artistic,
that's,
creative thing.
I appreciate that. And when I was young, I was thinking like what I want to do, and I wanted to reach the most people. Like I wanted to be a psychiatrist, really a psychologist when I was young, and I'd read Freud at a young age, and I was like, man, this guy's freaking crazy. I remember his dream interpretations book, and it really sparked. I was like, man, and then I was like, everything's anti-God, everything's pro-man, everything's like we are God, and then I was like, well, look, after I got all through all my partying days and everything and tried to take over the world, I was like, what can I do to lead the biggest impact, right? And there's no better medium than film. I mean, I think we're changed when we watch film like Jaws. I'll go into the ocean today and hear dun 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 and I'm like, that's this ingrained in me, right? And it's the power of cinema is so it is true. It's captivating, right? It shapes us. But it also can hurt you too, because what you like, the windows of the mind is through the eyes, right? Like that's how we interpret these things and see these things, and what we allow to us to see. And we get conditioned by that. And like, how many times have you heard, oh, blah 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 blah, I saw a documentary on this, so that's true. It's like I would hear that over and over. I saw a documentary on it, so you believe it's true, it's factual, right? People used to do that with the news. People used to do that with their doctors. Oh, my doctor told me to do this. I get, oh, cholesterol's good. Oh, cholesterol's bad. Blah blah blah. This is good. This is bad. I just learned they're just manipulating you into really to get money out of you and control, right? That's when you boil it all down, it's money control. How much money can we get from you, earn from you, and how much control can we have over you? And I learned that there's a hierarchy here on earth. And we know through scripture that the devil has domain of earth right now, because that's why we have wickedness, right? We can choose light or choose dark. We're not automatons on like you're pre-programmed to do some way. I had the devil and the angel on my shoulder for years, my friend. A lot of times I listen to the devil, and do bad things, not harming others, but harming myself, right? Taking myself away from my true like road that God had paid for me. But his grace is so abundant, and he knew that I had stuff to do here on earth, and he protected me. And then when you just give yourself over, those vices and things, they go away. Like they're so temporal. They're so easily to be discarded when you don't live just for yourself.
Okay.
And
I want to talk
yeah.
about something though, like based on what you reminded me of, like one of your conversations. You're talking about God and the devil, but a lot of people who you think are good might even be religious. You realize actually they're not really. You told me something that was shocking. Like one of the movies, I think it was Died Suddenly. It was produced by a pastor. He
No,
ended
that
up
was the
getting,
greatest reset. No, the greatest reset.
oh, the Great Reset. That's it. He sued you? Like, what the heck?
I don't even know if like this guy's so vindictive. I don't even know if we can talk about it with our NDA. But
Okay.
yeah,
Well, I don't want you
yeah.
to get into trouble. I don't want
Look, I really don't want to, like, I don't even think there's anything like he is like kind of like that. I won't even bring the name up, but yeah, my friend, yes, for the last look, my last 3 films, I've been sued for the people that uh one was that guy, but it was his film. I worked for him, but uh I don't want to get in the whole thing. It was
let's not
it
get
was
into it. But what I'm
yeah,
trying to say is, it's
what your point
murky.
was, yes.
People are
Yes.
murky and sticky, and even the people
Well,
that you think are on your side, on the side of good, they do messed up
you know what
stuff.
corrupted that was money. The money signs were so big that he lost all of what the movie was about, right? And so I just left that part.
This is what I'm
Yeah,
talking about. This is what I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Like, I've been disappointed in a lot of people that I looked up to, and I
And you
see
should,
that.
because we are corrupted from the heart. Even me, right? The only person I can trust on this world, 100%, is my mother. She's never done anything she's always backed me even when I was wrong. And I was like, my wife, like if you want someone to really check you at your, marry a Latina woman. She will check you and regulate your sense of who you are and where you are at, and I appreciate her for that. But that
Well, that's
my
my
mom,
wife as well, and she's not Latino.
yeah.
I think that's most wives. Trust me, they regulate the.
Well, that's good you got one of those, right? But when you think about everybody you know, all the people you know, it's very few who will just die for you and have your back. And when we read in scripture, there's no other love than to give your life for your friend. And that's in John. And that's true. That is absolutely true. But they're far between of finding those people. But it's like when me and you talk, dude, we talk for an hour, just like we never even met each other. And I call it the sandbox theory. It's like when you're like 5 and you were like playing the sandbox, you just gravitate to people, you have no idea who that kid is, black, white, crippled, whatever. It didn't matter, right? And then say you move away and you see that person 20 years ago, you'll have that same connection. And
Yeah.
that's, I think people, I think as God has this army he brings about. And I'll relate it back to what I was saying about evil. I used to think it was like they're all controlled by evil. Oh, they're scheming and everything. No. Just like we're used by the Holy Spirit that brings people together, that we talk for good, the evil does the same thing. Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates aren't sitting there, how are we going to, they're being used by the same entity of evil to orchestrate a plan. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we know what we're doing, sometimes we don't, but we're pushing for the good, right? So I think there's that battle like that there's good and evil forces always trying to get supremacy in the upper hand. Uh, for me, I know how it ends. And we were victorious. But it says in Scripture, the days get so bad, he has to shorten the days because evil prevails. So I'm not one to think that we're going to defeat evil per se. It's not us to do that. What I do need to do is warn people that like Noah was like, it's gonna rain, it's gonna, like, I'm building this, and they're like, yeah, this guy's crazy, until that first raindrop hit. And then it all changed. Their whole life changed. The world changed, right? The same thing here, man. How can we wake up enough people to get out of this so-called matrix that we're in? And it starts in the home. It starts in your
everyone I respect is saying the exact same thing as you. And I guess I respect myself because that's what I'm saying too. And I just had Jamie Icon. He was saying the same thing. The only way we get out of that is every single one of us needs to raise our game, raise our consciousness to the point where, if the government says we're raising the tax or paying a carbon tax or digital ID, we turn around like lions and go, no. And the government goes, oh, okay, well, that's not going to happen now. But the problem is most humans aren't anywhere near that point.
You saw it with Brexit. Tell me about that. That was good and bad for you in both ways.
Yeah. What you want to know?
Well, I mean, you went into it with good intentions, and then as so much, man fails, or people get greedy inside the movement. And dude, the medical freedom movement is nothing but people trying to get rich from it now. To a degree, they'll give truth, but then they're like, hey, how much is my speaker fee? Oh, I'm not going to be part of that unless there's a speaker fee. Or it's like a DJ lineup with all the same faces on there. Like, you're just saying the same shit to the same people. No change is getting done, and you're just finding ways to get rich. Whatever. Like, that's your way. My films are for free. I am scrounging money to make these things, right? I'm like asking people, hey, I'll put you on my film to be a producer, and you have an IMDb credit. Just be part of the solution. I'll go out there, my friend. I'll go out and look. A donor donated us $1,000. Me and Ed went out to Utah for Kirk Moore in a week, and then boom, that trial ended. It was just us. No, but if we weren't out there, that man would be in trial still, 100%. And I it's not gloating or patting myself on the back. Those are the facts. We went out there, and Ed wrote an amazing article. MTG reached out to us on our Died Suddenly account personally, said, what can I do? She was tweeting about our film Died Suddenly. Well, she didn't have to do that. She just put a target on her. But man,
yeah, what's her name again? She's the Republican senator,
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah,
I really like her. She reinforces what she says. She keeps saying, my priority is to God and the country and no one else. Hey, my lovely listeners, just a quick shout out. As many of you know, I now offer a one-to-one online consultation service. And no, it's not just for people contemplating surgery, it's for any of you. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're struggling in life, maybe you're going through a painful divorce or facing a major health decision, or if it's the fact that you've just left a rushed doctor's appointment with a head full of unanswered questions, book in with me. I can help you make sense of your diagnosis, explain mainstream treatment options in plain English, and also walk you through alternative and integrative approaches. If surgery is on the table, I can guide you through preparation, how to reduce post-op risks and complications, and what questions to ask your surgeon before going ahead. So maybe you're just looking for a second opinion. or you want to figure out whether to see a GP, a homeopath, an osteopath, a chiropractor, a physical therapist, or even which supplements or lifestyle tweaks to make. Well, I think I can help you, buddy. Tap into the knowledge I've gained from 25 years as a mainstream doctor, and the last 2 years interviewing over 400 experts from all walks of life. And don't just take my word for it. Here are just a couple of real reviews left by real people who have worked with me. Jessica: having a consultation with Doc Malik has made me feel empowered to take control of my health condition and proceed in a manner that is in line with my beliefs. He helped me make sense of my condition, gave me a clearer picture of the medication I've been prescribed, and provided direction on a number of lifestyle and diet changes I can make. Highly recommend. And then there's Diana Austin from yesterday. These days, it's hard to know who is real and who is genuine. So many are imposters with no other agenda than draining your wallet. Doc Malik is the real deal. He is knowledgeable and caring and suggested actionable strategies for me to pursue. I'd give him 6 stars if I could. Thanks, Diana. So there you go. If something inside of you is nudging you to book a session with me, trust your gut instinct. I always tell everyone I meet, trust your gut instinct. It never lies to you. You lie to yourself. So you can read more of the reviews at docmalik.setmore.com, and you can make a booking there as well. So that's docmalik, DOCMALIK, .setmore, SETMORE.com, COM. So there's 2 dots there. docmalik.setmore.com. Folks, love you loads. Let's get back to the show. Bye. You know,
like Thomas Massey, same thing. Like, bro, our elected officials, it's like regulatory capture. They're taken over by money. They never do what they say they're going to do. Even when Trump says all this stuff, lock her up in 2018, no one got locked up. No swamp was drained. Man, I want to believe what this guy is doing. I like him better than Biden, but sometimes, like, it's better to know the devil that you have than the one that you don't know, right? We knew Biden and all that. We understood what their agenda was. But if Trump's going to campaign on something and then 180 on all these things, that's concerning, you know?
Yeah, I would agree. Trump is not the devil, you know. You know, you just don't know him at all. He's not doing what he was.
Well, he tells you who he is, though, too. And that's our fault, because I've never seen a politician move people like he did. I covered him. I went to so many rallies, right? Covering it. I was with him on to Davos, freaking Davos, to WEF twice. Not many people get to be inside of Davos. I was taking a piss next to the king of Jordan. That's how close you are with these people, right? There's no like media area. It's like you're just there everywhere. Netanyahu walks by you, Bill Gates. It's crazy. It's weird.
But isn't it quite expensive to go there?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. It's hard to get in there. You have to have press credentials through the White House. You have to, there's only 2 ways in and out of Davos, the city. There's like a highway and a train. Dude,
how much is it? And how much is the ticket? How much is the ticket?
I have no idea. Like, you know, I was working for the company that wound up suing me, but you have to stay in this, like, it was beautiful. And what an amazing opportunity. And that's why all these things that happened to me, and like the lawsuits and lawfare, which I learned about lawfare, it's a weapon. Our court systems are weaponized. And even if you're not guilty, you'll be bankrupt yourself to prove your innocence, which is a shame.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you heard of communitarianism?
What is that?
Oh, dude, that's another rabbit hole you need to look into. So communitarianism.
Have so many of these to go through. Yeah. Tell me about it. Say it again.
Go on the website, A Lark in Texas. Communitarianism, A Lark in Texas.
Okay.
So communitarianism isn't communism, but it's very similar. And it's a socio kind of like, it's everything. It's social, cultural, law, linguistic. It's a system by which, you know, people are controlled. It's all about the greater good. And a lot of the laws,
it's kind of like, it's kind of like
a lot of the laws that are passed now are communitarian in nature. So they'll say, yeah, you've got freedom of speech, the right to freedom of speech, but it comes with a but. It comes with a condition. If your freedom of speech endangers the greater good or the public health message, then you don't have freedom of speech anymore. Then we can censor
It's like
you.
community notes. You live by the community notes.
Community notes. Community notes is a classic communitarianism. And it's on the superficial aspect, it looks good. You know, who doesn't want to be a member of the community and take care of the
Sure.
community and be a nice member of the community? But it's all about trumping your individual rights for the greater good. And I think you're either a collectivist or an individualist. You know, it's either about individualism or not. And
Hillary Clinton said it takes a village to raise a child. Okay, what does that mean? Who's in the village?
Dude, honestly, please look into communitarianism.
I will.
It's the weapon they're using to enslave us. The language, the lawfare, the linguistics, and everything is inverted. And lawfare is huge, like you just said. It's all about bankrupting you. But it's not even just that. It's the stress of going through lawfare. It's a mental energy depletion. You've got nothing else that you can do productive.
It just bankrupts you too, man. Like it bankrupt our company. We are victorious in our, we are sued by someone who we allowed to have our films on their platform. I was sued by that guy, and I didn't do anything. I actually left the film. I saw the character of him, and I just left. And I made a website so people because I had worked on it for a year and a half. I had finished it. I left it. I just wanted people a place where we could talk and I could share what I learned. And man, that really made him angry. And he went after me with a federal lawsuit. I had no idea. I didn't know what I was stepping into. Now I would have bit my tongue a little bit more and like understood the process, because all it did was create bankruptcy for me and my family. He lost money and nothing got changed, right? It was like just a way, but it was to muzzle me, right? It really was. It was to muzzle me, and I will respect that.
The process is the punishment. The process is the punishment.
No doubt. No doubt.
It wasn't just about muzzling you. It was to destroy you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But it's amazing because I said, I don't need you. I've never need you. I'm going to go be fine without you. And then I started making all these, like, I made 3 films in a year. Died Suddenly was done in 83 days. I mean, who does that? It's like insane. What we are accomplishing, like the amount of time it took. And it was the importance of it, and look, I didn't want to make another Died Suddenly. I have no aspirations until we had this whistleblower reach out to us. And I was like, holy moly. I was like, if this is true, this is bigger than WikiLeaks. It's bigger than Snowden. And you know what? It looks like it's true. All the things are coming together. We're getting funding for it now, praise God. And we're going to show the world what is actually in these shots and what people are going to. It's not just killing people. They're going to use it to track and control you.
Okay. Before we go on to that, I need to quickly wee, so I'm going to pause if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then where I want to kick off is, like, having recorded over 350 podcasts in the last 2 years, I feel like I've got a really big picture overview. So I've got the complete opposite to what a lot of people have, which is that tunnel vision. I've had that really big stand back, big view of what's going on. And there's a lot of people who I think get ideologically captured by their own work. So for example, if your job is to just call out global capitalism and global corp, you will think everything is because of capitalism, and you will not know about technocracy or, all the other stuff that's going on. Or if you've made a name for yourself calling out the fact there's no viruses, then you're just ideologically bought into that because you make your money and your name and your reputation. So you're not interested in anything else apart from there's no such thing as viruses or 5G or it's all about mass migration. We need to stop the mass migration. These goddamn Muslims, whatever it is. But the reality is there's lots of different pieces to this jigsaw puzzle. And
it's multifaceted.
It's multifaceted, multi-pronged, multi-directional warfare going on here.
There's only one goal. That's the thing.
Exactly. It's an omni-war, But
Yeah.
this omnivore is taking us somewhere. And what I'd like to pick up with from you after I get back from my pee break is, what have you learned in the last 4 or 5 years from, you know, your work and your interviews with some amazing people like Rosa Koire? She's passed away
Rosa
now.
Corey. Yeah.
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 Like amazing people you've spoken to. You've spoken to some fantastic people. Many of whom have
Yeah.
been my guests. But you've distilled down the essence of what they're trying to warn us about. But you've clutched at all of these themes, and I'd love to hear what you think is the picture.
Yeah,
What
dude.
is happening? And then yeah, we'll take it from there. So I'm just
Okay.
gonna pause now.
I'm gonna go get. I
Why
thought
did you
you said
ask?
you're sitting at Wimbledon.
Oh no, I think that what I meant by that tweet was one of my listeners sent me a picture of my merch bag at Wimbledon, and I was like,
Mm,
Doc Malik is at Wimbledon, as in like, you know.
okay. I thought you were
I,
at Wimbledon. I was like, well, I've always wanted to go.
no. Look, to be honest, I didn't even know it was on until I was sent that. I'm so disconnected from TV, news, everything.
Come
Like,
on, you gotta have some kind of thing you like to do.
I like to
You
run.
just like to be in the garden.
I do actually. No, I like to
Oh, that's
run.
nice.
I like to do jiu-jitsu, but I haven't done that for a few months because of my neck injury. I like to cook. I like to spend time with the wife and the kids. I like to
All
read.
right.
That's it, really. Anyway, listen, look, storytelling has been a big part of human civilization. I mean, you would have storytellers who would go from village to village, and that's how it was a medium of communication. It's how people knew what was going on over the hill somewhere else. So storytelling is a very powerful thing. It pulls on the kind of DNA of man, right? We love that story. And as a filmmaker, ultimately, you are a storyteller. Now, to be an effective storyteller, you need to know the story back to front. So what I want to ask you is, what is the story and how does it end? Or
Mm,
what is the plan that the people
sure.
want? Not necessarily how it will end, but how do they want it to end?
Yeah. Like ultimately, like this is all we're living in. Like things are given to us like sports to kind of like deviate, like they say in the Roman times they did it so it deviate us from thinking about what they're doing in the Senate, right? I understand. Yeah, that's very true. Like most people can say the starting five of the Lakers and not know the capital of the United States. Like that's true. Or what pop singer, or like we have been conditioned to live through pop culture. Very dangerous. Holy moly! And those are the people look up to. I mean, the most degenerate people, right? That's unfortunately the masses look up to. That's all design. Like the CIA, like our biggest enemy is this. I'm going to get into this tangent, but it's these agencies, these 3-letter agencies. But what they are doing is shaping the higher ups. It's a hierarchy thing, right? Of who's in control. It's always who's in control. Look, as I started seeing like you always heard the New World Order, right? It's in our freaking dollar bill, bro. It's like a pyramid with an all-seeing eye and out of order's chaos and New World Order, bro. It's like in your face, and
Yeah.
people don't even think about it. What do these symbols mean? Who are these people? Unless I'll just tell you this, you will never know the truth until you understand that you're living in a spiritual reality. A battle is going on spiritually. This is so superficial what we're seeing here. Things move on in dimensions, and until you understand that, you'll never grasp truly the. Oh, there you go. Yeah, truly the world that you live in, right? Even Christians, they don't even talk about the spiritual realm, and they're like, we're supposed to be governed by the Holy Spirit. Like Christians don't even have a clue, most of them, of the spiritual battle we're in. Okay,
I mean, look
so we
how
can
weird
take it
this is.
all.
Look at this. Novus Ordo Secundum. Why the hell do you have a pyramid on your dollar bill? And why is there an all-seeing eye? Like, if that's not goddamn
Yeah,
weird, I don't know what
out
is.
of order is chaos. Yeah, that dude. It's like we're governed. Like when you saw the Greatest Reset, I break down the take over the Catholic Church. I'm not Catholic, but I went to the most researched people in that field of Catholic, uh, I guess, history, and they talked about the Alta Vendetta, or not Alta Vendetta. Man, it's been a while. But anyway, the Alta something, it was a Freemason attempt to take over the Catholic Church, but by installing their the cardinals to bring in the Pope to usher in this new world order, this new governing body. They knew they couldn't take them over, right? Like by war. So they did 100-year campaign. 100 years. Now think about this. You have people like Henry Kissinger, the Alta Vendita, all these things that are like 100, 200-year plans. If you're not doing it for some kind of spiritual thing where like it carries the plan on after you've died, then you're not understanding the whole what's the right word?
Agenda.
Yeah, and what the motive is, right? Because if you were to do something and you won't see it happen for 200 years, why would you care? Unless it's being driven by something that's going to be here, the past, and the future, right? It's
An ideology. It's an
yeah,
ideology. It's almost like a religion.
but it's a spiritual battle, my friend. That's what I'm saying. The spiritual battle is timeless until time is rolled up, like say in the scrolls, and given to God to start a new world, right? This is what we're talking about. If Henry Kissinger is doing plans that he'll never see, what is driving him, right? What is making him want to see something that he'll physically never see? Crazy. So check this out. In Daniel prophesied about 10 kings, right? In the end times, there'll be 10 kings that will govern the world. You've seen in Revelations as well. In 1974, the Club of Rome divided, and there's a map of it. It's called
I know,
10
I've seen it.
Kingdoms.
Yeah.
You've seen it. They
Yeah.
called it 10 Kingdoms. Okay. Why do all the elites and these like people want to change society use biblical terms like oracle or palantir or the guy over in the UK, Pagamus, or what I think it's Pagamus, something like that, where the devil was sitting at that throne, Pergamon, I think it was, and that's Ghislaine Maxwell's daddy, who has MI6 connection. Pergamon Press, another thing through the press, right? They always get through the press. AP, Reuters, dude, they control the narrative worldwide. You'll see something reported on in New York, run through the AP or Reuters and get the same story in India, China. It's all mono. It's a mono themed report, right? There's no other nuance to it or other opinions. It's just whatever the AP and the Reuters came. There you go, the 10 Kingdoms. Dude, that is not that's not kings of kingdoms. What is a kingdom but someone who governs over land or wealth? Well, we have new kings now. They're called Bezos. They're called Bill Gates. When Elon Musk has a kingdom, we're in a different paradigm of just what are land borders, right? This is a new world we live in where I don't know exactly what their mind frame was in 1974, but it is a redistribution of the way they see the world through their eyes. So
If you
they're
look,
going
by
to
the way, if you look at this map, Israel is separate. Some people say that Israel is where everything's going to be ruled from, Jerusalem. I don't know if that.
well, I mean, in scripture he says that that's New Jerusalem comes down, and 1,000-year reign from there. So look, I have a very presupposition with a biblical lens, right? I'm a Christian filmmaker, and I have to look and see with scripture what it relates to, and that's the greatest reset. The pastor I have in there, Keith Malcolmson, he tells about prophecy through what was happening right now, and beautifully strung. And look, am I just over there just having Christians in my film? No. Like Rosa Corey, she was a lesbian, she had a wife, but she loved humanity, right? She welcomed me into her home. I was the last one to interview her. She died of lung cancer 3 weeks after I sat down with her in her living room, and she didn't even know she had 3 weeks to go. Think about that. I'm in this woman's living room. She is the most research in Agenda 21. Okay, Agenda 21, which started in Rio in 1992, which was the kind of the blueprint to take over government locally, right? It was the takeover of local government and other things, but it was the precursor to Agenda 30. Okay, the reason I'm aware of what is happening and what's going to happen, because they lay it out. They tell you what they're going to do. Now, is it revelation of the method? To a degree, I do believe, because we're using spiritual laws. Spiritual laws are one that you have to announce your plan. I don't know why. That's just what they say. You go talk to witches and all whatever, people who really believe this stuff. They say, yeah, they have to announce it into the world and whatever happens, right? So they tell you what they're going to do. They tell you their plans. Now I look and see all these.
Apparently, it absolves them of any guilt or charge or anything. Like they've
I don't know if
declared it,
it ties
and
the
that's it.
bond in the spiritual and in the physical, something like that I've heard. But bro, if you would, dude, there were so many covert, like MK Ultra has almost become cliche. But dude, those are government sanctioned programs funded by the taxpayers involving metaphysical things like remote viewing. Bro, that is real. That was funded by the United States. I saw a girl, a lady who was involved with the program on Sean Ryan, talking about the most insane things. There was a guy named, he's an Army Lieutenant Acuna. He was, man, this guy is the most devilish guy. I don't know if you know him, but when you see him, I'll show you a picture of him. He was a Satanist in our army, and he worked in like MK Ultra and stuff like that, right? He started with Anton LaVey, and because Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan wasn't really theistic, it was more like do what you will, and not like believing in a power of Satan. He started the Temple of Set, and he was active military and involved with. Have you seen the movie The Man Who Stared at Goats?
Yes, I've not watched it though.
Okay, that's his program, right? And our government allowed this man to be in our United States and work on covert. Yeah, there you go. This is who our
Aquino.
government allows. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Dude,
Okay.
on his birthday, I think he put his gun in his mouth and offed himself in 2019. But he was involved with psychological warfare. He wrote a book called Mind War. And this is who we are allowed in our military. Like, this is not what our founding fathers had in mind. We've gone off the rail. We have become, and now look at it, we have become experimental lab rats to a degree. Eisenhower said it best. He said, beware of the military industrial complex. And then after that, if you continue the speech, he says, and they'll try to control and rule by the medical industrial complex and their tyranny. Here we are. Like, dude, did you not see what rolled out and how they used the medical industry as not only like the scientists, like religion, but what they allowed, like people who got that vaccine who had no idea what was in it. They didn't even allow doctors to see what was in it. The insert was blank. Like, bro, you know, I mean, you were behind the scenes. You saw it. Like, we live with some very evil people, my friend, and they're in high places. And that is what we're up against.
So what is the big picture though? Why is this all happening?
I always I want to do the movie and not just talk about the like what is happening, like the all-cause mortality deaths have never seen levels of this. The birth rate is plummeting like we have never seen before. miscarriages at our all-time high after this. These are all real facts from the vaccine. But why? Why? One is there's too many of us on the planet, as they say, and they said for so many years. So depopulation is a huge thing. We are going to be governed in a global government. It's already being set up. It's been being set up for years. Agenda 21 was the start of it. Agenda 2030 is where they want to put us in 15-minute cities where their slogan is, you'll own nothing and be happy. That's a real state. That was their slogan. And it's kind of become a meme now, right? But that's their slogan, right? That's what they believe. And if you put all the largest companies, all the kings, queens, presidents in one building, and what do you think they're trying to do? They're conspiring on how to govern and use the resources of this planet to benefit themselves. That's what Davos is. Davos was the Club of Rome. Out of the Club of Rome, which Kissinger was involved in, came the World Economic Forum in 1970s with Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab was Henry Kissinger's protege. Henry Kissinger was his mentor, right? So you look at all these books that they write, all the things that they all have in common, and it's all control and depopulation. The world, there's too many of us. My God says to go out and multiply. It's a good thing. The whole thing about depopulation is the biggest farce that you can ever believe. You can fit everybody in the world in Jacksonville, in Florida, like shoulder to shoulder. That's how big the world is. You fly from East Coast to West Coast, there's nothing but open terrain. Like depopulation, the scarcity of goods is something that they make you believe. But free energy, there is free energy. Those people get killed. Powering your car by water, which people have, they get killed. Like they want to control us by fossil fuels, by whatever, because they own the industry. The medical industry was taken over because they wanted to put pharmaceutical oil-based pills in you where they control both the pharmaceuticals and the oil. Okay? It's just
Pharmakia, witchcraft.
it says in the end days you will be ruled by their pharmakia. How did Daniel know about this 4,000 years ago? Bro, it says it pharmakia is how they'll rule, deceive you with their pharmakia. It's like for me, the Bible is so real. It's just, it's like so there's prophecies in it that is coming to truth. Now people corrupt it. People don't even know the real teachings of Jesus. They don't understand he came as a servant. He washed people's feet. He didn't come to build up the Vatican or riches or land. That is of man. We're here to serve one another. I'm here to serve you. I'm trying to serve the world with the gift I got by giving them information that's being held from them. That's it. And yes, I am biased as a Christian because I believe it is true. I believe that this man did walk on earth, lived a sinless life. There's been no other man in history who has been more documented than him, or had things have transpired from what he said, even in 60 AD or 70 AD with the crumbling of Jerusalem. So I do have a skewed way of looking at it, and I'm not afraid to say it.
No, that's fine, dude. That's fine. Look, I believe in Jesus. I think he was a great man. I think a lot of what he was, we are hidden. It's been hidden from us. I think religion's been captured by man a long time.
Sure.
I think, 100%. I don't trust everything that's in the Bible. I think it's just like any other textbook. It's been written by man, and you had the Gospels written at the earliest was 50 years after he died, I believe, and some like a lot longer.
No other thing in history has been that close to when it happened ever in antiquity.
I know, but what I'm saying is then you even had the Council of Assisi or whatever, and they all had to agree on what the actual Bible was going to be, and whether
Council of
what the
Nicaea had nothing to do with the book of canon. That
no,
had
but
nothing to
like
do with the book of canon. But
they
we'll
had
get
to
down this rabbit
they
hole.
had to, they had
What
to
my
decide
thing
on
is,
they had to decide on the Trinity, like all this kind of stuff. I think he was
no, I hear you.
I think he was
I
a
hear you.
rebel and a badass. I kind of like lean towards the Gnostic teachings of what Jesus was saying. I think he was amazing.
Well, the
but
Gnostics thought he was God, like a demigod. That's what they thought. But anyway, I hear what you're saying, and I don't want to. We don't need to get into that. But I will say, what I see is the going away from that. Right, this transhumanism is a way of becoming man, like the gods themselves. Right,
okay,
living
so
for forever.
this comes
Yes,
back
go
to
ahead.
the final story. What is their plan? What is it they want to do?
I think their final plan is to live forever. They're scared of death. They're terrified of death, and they want to live forever in whatever sense that is. If that is, like Ray Kurzweil says, that through nanotechnology, nanobots will link into his cortex, and he'll bring himself into the cloud and live forever. There's a man in Revelation 9:6 said, in those days they wanted death, but death fled from them, so they could not die. Bro, I never knew what that meant. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? That is crazy talk. Dude, what if you plug yourself into this cloud to live forever and it goes static forever? And all you hear is static for eternity. And death fled from you because you put yourself in your consciousness into this other matrix realm of static for forever.
Wow.
That makes sense to me, right? Revelation 9:6. These are why I go back to the Bible and I look at these things. I'm like, what? These things are prophesied 2,000 years ago. Pharmakia is how it would be deceived. The great men of those times, of the end times, would be the merchants of the world. The merchants, that's who we're being governed by right now. We're being governed by Amazon, Microsoft, Apple. Those are who we're being governed by, merchants, not kings. You think any kings are ruling? You think your king, whatever king you have now, does anything? No, they don't have no power. Power comes from the UN and in Belgium and NATO and the United Nations. That's why I love Brexit. I was like, I loved what you guys are doing, because I've been to Brussels, I've been to Belgium, I've been to NATO, I've been to the UN, bro. They want to live in that what did you common what was that word you used?
Communitarianism.
That is what they want to build with fake platitudes to live by.
Okay,
That's basically what it is.
So basically, I had Amy Lansky on my podcast, and she wrote a book about how she cured her son of autism. And she said she was from San Francisco and she had to flee there. She said there was something very satanic about it. All her colleagues and friends, ultimately, they all wanted to live forever. She went, and I went, really? She went, yeah. She went, I live in the Carolinas now. I needed to get away. And she goes, I didn't believe in guns or any of that kind of stuff. She goes, now I believe in the guns and everything. She goes, these people want to live forever. They are terrified of death, and they want to upload onto a cloud system. And it is funny. It's a TV series called Upload, which I've watched, which is very interesting. So when you die, what they do is they upload you onto the cloud.
Yeah.
And you have a free subscription plan where you live in this gray, horrible cell. Then if you pay more money, or your relatives pay more money, you have upgraded, you have color, you have food that tastes of something, you can do excursions. But if your money runs out, you get downgraded. You freeze, you stop, and it's perpetual. You can't die. You're just stuck in the system. And then the plan keeps changing. Now it's not just a subscription, but now you need to work. So now in your death, you're working, at a desk so that you can buy credits, so that you can like function in this uploaded reality world. It's absolutely horrifying. And it reminds me of what you said. You can't escape death. Like, you're just in the system forever, stuck. But one thing I don't understand is, what I don't understand, Matt, is if this is what they want to live forever in this kind of weird cloud or robotic body or whatever it is, or this AI. if they are tapping into the demonic spiritual realm, they must know that there's more to life after death. And haven't they signed some agreement with the devil and they get to live in some
I
other
don't think so. I
dimension?
think a lot of them are I think a lot of them are atheists to the core of not believing in any spiritual supernatural. Now there are some that yeah they do, and they that proverbial like Robert Johnson on the crossroads where he sold his soul to the devil to play his guitar. I believe that happens. I know it happens. I've talked to people in the music industry who have been offered the contract. You hear multiple celebrities saying, "Hey, I turned down." There's like a drink they give you or something she was talking about, but I think Taryn Manning was talking about it. Um, it's real. They're like that part is real, right? I think a lot of that's for blackmail, to do things to keep you controlled. That's what Epstein was. It was a honeypot to keep people controlled. Uh, high, our vices a lot of the time are used against you, like sex is one that is always used. Um, there's both. There is it's a both and. There is some like Ray Kurzweil who does not believe in God, believes he is God. He can be God. It's like the Tower of Babel again. We're like in a 2.0 Tower of Babel. I'm going to build something. I'm going to take on whatever God image is. Dude, Yuval Harari, he's like their prophet. If you want to like, juxtapose it between the Bible and scripture and what this new thing is. They talk very openly about becoming a new species. Go back and listen to the Yuval Harari speech in 2018. I happened to be there live listening to it, and I had no idea who he was. And at the end of the speech, Christine Lagarde, Angela Merkel, all of them front row stood up, yeah, roaring applause. They want this. They hate God. Most of them hate God because with God you have to say I'm nothing, you are everything, and submit yourself to Him. That's a lot of people. Christianity, they can't do that. That's the hardest hurdle because you got to get out of your intellect, saying I know all, I know best, I can figure it out, I'm smart. You are just deceiving yourself. You are smart. I am smart. My biggest thing was like turning me off and allowing Him to lead me. It's like we read it in Proverbs 3:5-6 where it says, "Lean onto your not onto your own understanding, but give everything to Him, and He'll lead the path for you." That's hard for a lot of people, especially in the science world, right? What is science but like NASA and everything saying we're flying through space? It's just chaos. Everything happened from a big bang, and they'll accept that, but they won't accept like where did it come from? Where did the energy come? So you're telling me this mug is a byproduct of the Big Bang? Me and this microphone are the same. We come from the same thing, basically, right? Everything is the same if it all derived from one point, the Big Bang, right? They're fine with that because they can see it in their mind and they can do math calculations and all that. Like, good, but they're still scared of death. That's the one equalizer, boy. That
Yeah,
everybody they say death and taxes. Well, you might not have to pay taxes, but you're gonna pay that death tax. I guarantee you. And they're terrified of that.
I agree.
And that's like, yeah. So I think that's where it basically boils down to. Now there's Operation Stargate. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so Trump brought in Palantir and like and they brought in to run this Operation Stargate, which is nothing but like I think it's a 1,000 or 1,000,000 acres. I had to get the numbers. All it is acres and acres of CP units to run AI. And there will be per the big beautiful bill, there'll be no regulation on AI. Why would they not want any regulation on AI? Why do they say that AI is the new Cold War? What is this AI we're talking about? Like Elon Musk warns us about it. Oh, he ushers in, he says the demons. You're ushering in demons. Why is this man talking about demons? What the hell is that? Why do the computers they use have biblical names and spiritual connotation to it? right? They call them little demons running around. Dude, they just don't want to believe the world that they live in is like the spiritual battle of good and evil. And that's what it is. It's always man wanting to become God.
Okay. Okay. So in my head, I think it's about the banking elite realizing that their Ponzi, whatever fiat usury system is coming to an end. So they need to reset that economic system so they stay
Oh,
on
with
top.
crypto?
Yeah, with crypto, digital currency, you name it. I think they've also realized, yeah, they don't want as many of us around anymore. The age of consumption is over. It's the age of control. And I think they want to corral us into these little ghettos. They can have their Belgium-sized estates. I think they want to live forever, and they do want to find some way of becoming transhumanist. I think they want us all to be. I think they're anti-human, they're anti-nature. They, in their hubris, think they can be better than nature, better than God. Whether they believe in God or not, in their heads they justify it. And I think you're right. Many of them are atheists, but they are selling their soul to the devil. Without knowing it, they are serving in the army of darkness. I think some of them are satanic and Luciferian, but I think many of them just think of themselves as enlightened, intellectual, scientists, progressive, and oh, look at these stupid peasants believing in God and religion. They're just so dumb. We're so smart. Look, we can manipulate so much. We're so rich. We're so powerful, and by default we therefore must be better than all of these other idiots. They're poor for a reason. We're rich for a reason, and because we're rich and powerful, it's we inherit the earth, and we are the custodians and the guardians, and we know best. So I think a lot of it is driven by that. But they want to live forever. They want less of us around. They think, and some of them genuinely believe the earth is scarce and that we are parasites, we are viruses.
What's
Um,
the king, Queen Elizabeth's husband? What's his
yeah,
name?
Charles, King Philip.
King
Yeah,
Philip called us viruses.
yep, yep, yep.
A very famous quote of him.
Yeah. So I think many of them genuinely believe in that. I think a lot of them are genuinely Malthusian. They think,
Dude, that is the point of Died Suddenly. Like,
yeah,
no one knew
yep,
about Mal. That's how we open up the movie, right?
yep, yep.
Malthusian is the way, and they use the same scale as, dude. Watch Die Suddenly, people. You see Bill Gates using the exact same Malthusian scale. His daddy was part of the eugenics program here. Margaret Sanger. Like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Now you take in Bill Gates being picked on and bullied his whole life, and it made him into a maniac who wants to have control over the world because he wasn't getting laid in high school. That's really what it boils down to. People are so hurt from their young childhood that as soon as they get power, it is like, now I'm going to get revenge. And that's how you see it a lot of times. A lot of people are dealing with childhood trauma that they don't just allow to be healed, and they turn
Bingo.
into maniacs.
Bingo. So these psychopaths, psychopathies, ultimately derive from their trauma.
Oh
And
yeah,
and Meredith
100%.
Miller talks about that in my podcast. You can either become
Oh
a severe empath or you become a psychopath. And both of them are responses to that trauma. And
yeah.
I think the psychopaths have done a good job of creating a psychopathic world, psychopathic society, narcissistic society.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, so I think they want the transhumanism, they want the control. I think what they want is like a Borg mentality. Like you have all these human beings that are just drones that are
Well, look, in Japan
programmable.
right now, yeah, in Japan right now, they're going to clinical trials with synthetic blood. Bro, so I know life is in the blood. That is what life is. If now you have synthetic blood, where do you put synthetic blood in? Like, people who are not, you will not be alive. You won't, like, Dr. Group says this really well. It's like, once you become 50% cyborg, you're no longer human. So who controls you then? And then in my new movie, Nano Sapiens, this guy, this whistleblower, comes and tells me that they've injected this into, you know, 6 billion people with the ability to extract data from you. But the patents show that the technology says, if I can extract data from you, I can send data into you as well. And we've seen with these shots that they said they were going to be localized, but that now they go past the blood-brain barrier. We have seen they're changing the DNA, the actual DNA. but we have no idea what they have in store for us. You look at like Revelation of the Method and stuff like that, like the movie Kingsman. You look, see that it's all frequencies, and they change their brain. They start killing everybody.
Hi, me again. You're listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or on his Substack, or simply buy him a coffee with one of the donation links which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
Look, in a way, they
So
glorify. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say you're 100% right. So basically, Israel boasted and gloated about this on American TV. You know, the IDF were talking about how they put these pagers in Hamas, not Hamas, Hezbollah, 10 years ago through private companies and everything, and front companies, and they boast about how they did it, and they set up these fake companies and they sold it, and then they did it 10 years ago, and these people were using it, civilians were using it, and then 10 years later they detonated them, and these pagers went off in schools, in marketplaces,
so crazy.
in streets and everything, and they basically killed and maimed, mostly maimed, because these things aren't powerful enough to kill. But what they did was they disabled and injured thousands of people, including civilians. And you just think, how do we know they haven't done this to mobile phones? Like all the mobile phones that we carry around, keep next to our bed.
No, that's how, my friend, that is. They conditioned us with the phones. Like, seriously, you talk about me, like, oh, get off I have this phone on me all the time. I'm not gonna lie. It's always on me, right? But so it comes in, their plans are sometimes generation, but they're in phases too. Why were all the 5G towers built during the COVID? Why were they simultaneously built? Because, as I believe, they're the way to connect people. The 5G wave is very short. It goes from one to another. But my cell service is still shit. It's still terrible. But what is the reason for it, right? If I look and see what they're trying to do and control, and if they've injected people with something that's could control their dopamine or read their levels or whatever Black Mirror episode we're going to be living in, yeah, like this is the reality. It's no longer science fiction. Science fiction is just like people look at the Matrix in 1999, bro. It's almost a documentary at this point now.
It is. It is. I mean, when you talk about the 5G thing, 100% right, because you just think, look, hold on, let's just take their word for it. It was a deadly global pandemic, which you and I know it was not. But say it was. You're telling me in the middle of the most deadly global pandemic, your priority was to put up 5G towers across the world in lockstep. In lockstep, that was your priority? Like, seriously? Like, who are you kidding? Who's buying this bullshit? And I've looked into 5G, and it's so serious. It's not quackery. It's not crazy. The frequency is the same as a microwave oven. The frequency is the same that makes your water in the cells boil, literally.
That's what our body is. We're constructed of water. And so do you know?
Yeah.
I used to,
but dude, it's more than that. I just want to say it's more than just the water. The 350 podcasts I've done, whether it's Jared Pollock, Jack Cruz, you name it, Randy Lee, what I've learned is we are beings of water, light. We literally create light within us, and we absorb light and we create light within us. We are beings of magnetism, and we're beings of energy. So we are beings of water, light, energy, electricity, magnetism. And what do you think 5G does? All these frequencies, all these energies, what do you think they're doing to us? Of course it affects us on a biological level. It's damaging to not just us, by the way. Matt, it affects the insects, it affects the birds, even the plants are subjected to this frequency warfare. And you just think,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is a
yeah,
war against humanity. You know, I think Karen Kingston said it, or someone else on your show. Like,
yeah.
you know, this is an omni-war, but it ultimately is a war against nature, humanity, God, and the agenda. I mean, the agenda in that movie, Agenda, but you talked about it in The Greatest Reset way before, is the 2030. They want 2030 agenda, which is all about total control, us having nothing, them having complete control of everything, us in digital prisons, physical prisons, unable to travel, unable to own anything, eating junk, gloop, processed food, being denied meat,
Drugs.
being injected regularly, being sick, infertile, and dying early, and being dependent on this one world government. That's it. They want a one world government. That's it in a nutshell, isn't it? That's what they want.
It is. It is. It's total control. That's what it is, and it's up from since we live no longer in borders of like and we can converse over like this way, and we live in a different paradigm now. Okay, like that old 19th century, 20th century, they controlled that. They used it as good as they could. They created wars when they needed to. World War II, they redistributed uh, they literally gave Israel. That's why a lot of why World War II happened. Redistribution of land, power. We saw that with 9/11. Whenever I see something huge happen that involves the world, what are they doing behind the scenes? It's like the magician with the hand. What 9/11 was to get us into endless wars where they could fund our military industrial complex, take away our rights with the Patriot Act, and then redistribute wealth like we've never seen. Same thing happened with COVID. Rights taken away, redistribution of wealth, and then they put in these grids of control. And when you bring up Israel, when I would go to these conferences, right, in 18 and 19, I would see that the developers of this technology, face recognition, driverless cars, they all came out of Israel, a lot of the companies, and they were either beta tested in China or Israel itself in Gaza. So they have, and then it would come to the States, and you would see that same tech. So I would say a lot of the tech came derived from here, built in Israel, shipped out to China, right, to seek control. Like I always wonder like I love chess. I'm not the best chess player, but I love the game, right? And we look at the world as this chessboard, right? And who's moving these pieces? And I can't figure out China. I don't know where they belong on this board, right? Because they're allowed to have so much wealth and power, but they're isolationists. They are China first, 100%. The new Silk Road that they're building all over the world is to allow them to deposit their population in these cities, like in Kazakhstan or whatever. While they build it, they give these countries loans, and then they own them through their loans, and then they deposit their overflowed, population in there. So I'm like, man, that's genius. Like that, China's a force to be dealt with, right? But they're not that old money. That old money, they've been doing this since the beginning of time, right? I don't understand this whole world piece. I sometimes think China might be the enforcer, like be used as the world army because we have these blue hat United Nations. I know a lot of it's that deep blue money, that blue blooded. You're like a lot of people say UK is still in power. Imperialism that they created has never ended, and I kind of believe that as well. I think
So where does Israel come into this in Zionist?
so. Israel,
Because someone said it. I think it was Dan Blitzerin.
yeah,
He said on a tweet, he goes, "Look, not all Jews are bad, and it's not all the Jews. But what's undeniable is there's a disproportionate number who are Jewish, who are behind, like whether it's the banking, even big pharma. If you just look at COVID and who developed it, head of the CDC, head of Pfizer, head of Moderna, where does that fit in? Because I
so
agree, it's not all the Jews, but are they being used? I mean,
I
where does
think
it?
everybody who is not it's like this is biblical, either Christ or Antichrist. Everybody, you either use for one way or the other, right? Antichrist is against the plans of God, and a lot of things with. I've been to Israel. I've been to Bethlehem. I've walked the wall. I by myself. I just got a camera, walked the wall, and I interviewed a lot of people. Some Christians, some Muslims, some Jews. Right. Um, it's interesting. I did a documentary on the USS Liberty and
No,
saw.
go back to the city. So, like,
Yeah, yeah.
what did you
Here we
find
go.
from these conversations, and where did it
So
all fit in?
yeah, so I was walking the wall and I came across the man and his boy, and I was like, oh, and I went and talked to them. They're Christian. They're like eighth generation. I mean, way back. And he took me to his house. I went into their house. There's 4 generations of people there. They're giving me coffee. They're telling me about everything. They say, and the checkpoint was built right underneath their window. And he goes like, Bethlehem used to be 97% Christian. It's 2% now after into Fatata. And I was like, yeah. So the whole the there, I don't
So,
believe there is.
I bet you these Christians, they look like Arabs, because they are, and they're not,
Of
and
course,
they're
they're
culturally
Semitic
Arabs.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but what I was going to say was, a lot of people think all these Arabs are the same, whether they're in Morocco or Saudi Arabia. They're not. Basically, the Arabs from the Saudi Arabian Peninsula overtook and conquered Mesopotamia, Iran, the
yeah,
Palestine, the Levant, whatever, Egypt. But these places had populations, there were people who were ethnically Egyptians or ethnically Levant and Palestinian, and when the Arabs took over and put their religion and and their language, they adopted it. But that doesn't mean that they are all the same. And the people living in Bethlehem are the original people of Jesus. Like, they are
yeah.
the original
Aramaic. He
Semitic
spoke
people.
Aramaic. Yeah, Jesus
Yeah.
didn't speak Hebrew. He spoke Aramaic. Yeah, 100%. Like, um, this has been like the reconstruction of Israel came out of World War II, and it came out of England. The Rothschilds bought the land with the Balfour Declaration. People aren't aware of this. They think the American churches here have been taken over by we went deep into this in 2018, 2019, and then it kind of died during COVID. Then everybody started talking about the Jews again. It's like real popular on X and Twitter, and like some people just found out that these people existed, right? Look, every population, every culture tries to dominate, for a better term of the use of the term, but the Jews have really, they're very organized and they work well together. They help each other. They're not allowed to give money usury, and they're just smart at what they do, and they've infiltrated themselves into highly prominent positions. Right now, other tactics are they what's the right word, you know are their tactics justified in a normal society? No, they'll use certain things to propagate themselves as a group, right? But we see that with China does the same thing, right? It's just not as a small and localized as the Jewish people are. um I used to think of Zionism, like to say, oh, Zionism, but Zionism is a government. It's not a religion. It was a government imposed on the people of Israel, uh, as a using all their history to
Is it a
kind of
government,
rally
or
them.
is it a government, or is it a political ideology?
Well, it's political ideology to form a government. It's not. Theodore Herzl was an atheist. He made up the Star of David flag was brought when his political party was brought up. Like that, they had like a contest to who could come up with the flag for their new country.
And
Look,
wasn't it?
I did it.
And isn't the pentagram part of the Rothschild, like the shield,
So
the red
people
shield?
say it's the Star of Remphan, which Apostle Paul talks about, could be. Uh, but yeah, it all ultimately, I think the United Kingdom has a big play in this, and they've kind of they kind of like the World Bank comes out of, like these institutions inside the UK are sovereign territory, right? Like the bank is a sovereign area, like the Vatican is sovereign. It's a big map, right? And you have these huge pieces on it and players, and who's in control? Ultimately, I think it's the devil. Of course, it's his world to rule, and he uses these things as like, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. Oh, how did he tempt Christ? He told Christ he'd give him all the kingdoms, right? That's how he wanted to lure Christ to follow him. He offered him all the kingdoms of the world. So if he can't unite the kingdoms, he'll use kingdoms for his bidding. And maybe they don't work together, maybe some do work together, but ultimately it's a line in the sand of either you're Christ or Antichrist for me. Now, doesn't mean this because you don't believe in Christ, you're not a good person. Of course not. I don't believe that. I believe there's multiple, like Rosa Corey. She was an atheist, a lesbian, but she loved humanity and she saw the evil. So she's on my side. I get to claim her, even though she didn't confess Christ, right? Same with you. If you're not a believer in Christ, you have that same love. And I believe God has put that on your heart. I truly do believe that. Because it's not something that you learn. It's something it's in you. You didn't learn to be this loving of humanity. It's something that you can't, it's metaphysical. It's something that's innate in you. And I think at some point everybody has that until they turn it off. And they say, I don't want that. I'm gonna go kill that person for what they have. Like we saw in Cain and Abel. His offering, he was jealous that God didn't like, so he killed his brother. The Eustace Mullins writes a great book, The Curse of Canaan. He wrote A Murder by Injections. He wrote New World Order. He wrote the Federal Reserve book. But no one knows his writings. Go read some Eustace Mullins. Really interesting. And he was in the 30s, 40s, 50s. I think he died in the 80s or 90s or something like that. But ultimately, it's a battle for good and evil, and that's where we're up against right now. And I think that's as easy as you can break black and white, and there's nuance in it, but it's really, who are you fighting for, good or evil?
Okay, yeah. So listen, what about solutions? One of the things I'm conflicted about is when I hear things like this is the devil's world. I don't like that. I don't like conceding it to the devil, because then what's the point of fighting? If it's the
I didn't
devil's
write the
world.
book. I didn't write a book. Hey, all I
I know,
know
I
is
know,
this. So I'll give you my
I know,
thought.
but what I'm saying is, like, I'm just like, part of me, like, I don't want to give it to him. Like, no, like this, we're fighting, and if you look all
Sure.
around us, it's beautiful, and I'm not going to give it to the evil ones. Like, it's not
And I don't
theirs.
think we have to. We don't concede because
Yeah, they can try and say it's theirs, but I'm not going to accept that. This is my world, and it's a world of good and God and light. But anyway, what I want to say is, how do we fight back? How do we resist? How do we use our knowledge? What do we do to stop this from happening? What do we do? What are constructive things? Right? We've analyzed the problem. We know there's a lot of bad things going on. We can kind of figure out why and see. And ultimately, it's like everything. It's like this world is a system, and you judge the system by the output. And the output is there for us to see, and it is by design. The confusion, the batshit crazy world. Now they've, in this country, they've legalized full-term healthy abortion. They've legalized euthanasia. In Canada, you've got the same MAID thing going on. They're killing people before they're born. They're killing people early before so they die quicker. There's so much going on. There's wars. There's genocides. People are being addicted to social media and gaming and God knows what else, and the screen. There's the family unit is being destroyed. The country, the sovereignty is being destroyed. Cultures are being destroyed. We can see all of this happening, right? What can we do about it?
Well, that's the ultimate question, isn't it? So, like your friend who was in San Francisco and moved out of there. I mean, it wasn't just the things she was seeing; it was what she was feeling. Correct? She felt it. She felt the heaviness. Until you understand where the war is in Scripture, and I keep going back to it, we war against principalities, not flesh and blood. So, what does that mean? It's the ideology, it's the mindset, it's these principalities that are governing people. How are you going to kill a principality? Have you ever fought a principality? Okay, so it's not our war in that sense, right? And I'm speaking because if you want to find solutions, this is where I find them. We come together like this and we talk and we unify behind each other. And I know it works because we saw it in Utah. That victory was so huge that with Dr. Moore, because he was up against the federal government and they had all their arsenal locked up on him, and through the corrupted judiciary system we have, he wasn't able to defend himself. He couldn't bring up COVID. He couldn't bring up motive of why he wanted to not administer death shots, all this stuff, and we prevailed. So I'm like, oh, that's encouraging. How many victories have we had? Right? There's not a lot of victories, right?
No,
That was a
hardly
great
any.
victory. So what we do is we educate people, and we back people who are doing the frontline work. I can't expect everybody to go out and do a podcast and make a movie and write an article. But if you are, if that has reached and touched you and shaped you, you are obligated to support that person. And I'm talking about financially. Do you know CNN has a budget of $900 million? Their equipment doesn't cost that much. Their propaganda does. Okay. George Soros funds every one of the things that you talked about. He funds an organization with $10 billion that he said, I'm going to give $10 billion to all these little front groups to destroy what God's image of this world is, because he's an evil man. Yeah. He hates God. He's anti-God. Okay. But he puts his money where his mouth is. We as sovereign individuals, as like I say conservative, right wing, it's almost to our detriment, because we are so sovereign that we are like independent and we go at it and I'll just figure it out, I'll do it. And if you follow me, you follow me. That's not how the collective works. That's not how socialists work. They understand, for the better good, I'm going to have to need resources, and this guy's going to fund us, and I'm going to go do the work for the collective. We don't work like that. But when we do, things happen. When we do, look, whoever donated the money, I can't remember their name, to me and Ed, that flew us out to Utah. I didn't know this person. I never met them. But they were like, hey, they need a plane ticket. I'm going to get them a plane ticket out here. And then we started creating change, right? Sacrifice a little to gain a lot, right? We must invest in the future that we want, and not just sending a tweet out or a share. You have to get into the fight, and it's this fight costs money, right? I want to give all my films for free, but I have to figure out a way to pay my mortgage, keep the lights on, buy the camera equipment. But I'm going to give you my film for free. What are you going to do? Are you going to send me out there? Yes. Then I'll give you credit as a producer on my film. I don't know how more I can do. And then we just met, but now, like, dude, we are so dynamic and strong. That's just another chink in the armor here, that now, before we met, we were a little weaker. Now we met, we become stronger, right? That's how we defeat it. We rally behind people. We don't use these terrible, like a pandemic, to become wealthy and famous from. How dare you? How dare you use that to become wealthy and famous? It's like sick. I'm not in any of my movies. You're not going to see me on the cover of my movie, narrating my movie. It's not my movie. Like, I'm not the expert here. Okay. I want to talk to the experts and put them in a way with nice music and good editing so I can educate people. Look, my
So
sister,
you know what?
she
Some people might just say, "Oh, here's another grifter. He's just asking for a
yeah,
bailout.
I love that word.
He's just asking for money." My podcast is listened to by about 50,000-60,000 people a week, and
Amazing.
but it's across Apple, Spotify, Rumble, Substack. But take, for example, Spotify. I've only got 600 5-star reviews, or 4 point, it's at 4.8 or something like that. That's like, it's like 2% of the people who listen on Spotify have just tapped the banner. Just 2%.
Yeah.
Just 2. I'm not asking for any money. I'm just saying, just press 5-star review. And the reason why is because the bigger the number of reviews I get, the algorithm promotes it. So it's the visibility to new audience members. And maybe someone in that new audience will be like, hey, I'm going to subscribe for £5 a month. Right. So, and also the more people you get to, the more people you're going to wake up, the more people you're going to inform and educate, and the awareness builds and builds. So just simply tapping a banner, which takes like 1 second, only 2% of my listeners have done
You
that.
should clip this part and put it at the beginning of this, because a lot of people might not get to hour 2. But what you said is so crucial.
No, but dude, I
Get
say
into
this.
the
I say
freaking
this.
game.
I say this. I write about it. I promote it, and I get people coming back to me going, "Oh, for goodness' sake, stop saying this."
Hey,
Like,
your grifting moniker you want to put. I don't care. That's so stupid. There are grifters, but the people who say they are the trolls who actually are trying to live in this world, right?
Do you know
Look,
how many sponsors I have for this show? How many sponsors do you think I have?
I haven't seen any yet, so
I have none.
probably 0.
I have no sponsors. I sponsor myself. Like, I do one ad in the middle saying, "Hey, if you want to book a consultation with me as a health advocate, I do my own ads."
But Ahmed, that's not a bad thing. But like,
But you know,
again,
I've even got.
I'm not sponsored. You should be sponsored by 30 like-minded companies who have revenue to share. That's the problem. Getting sponsored is a good thing. Look, I'm looking for
I get
sponsors.
flack. I get flack for even. I get
F
flack.
those people, those flags. They're not doing anything. I don't care. I don't care. What have you done? That's what I tell them. Look, Paul's a good example. He made tents while he preached the word, but he also says he took donations. Okay, it's not just making tents. You do things to put food on your table. Sometimes I have to go take a job to put food on my table and get back to what I want to do. But I'm saying, if you want us to be at our full capacity and what we really need to do, you fund the projects that we're best at. Died Suddenly was seen 100 million times worldwide, organically translated into dozens of languages, some I didn't even know existed, because it resonated, right? Because it was needed. But no one got rich off of that except the sponsor who sponsored that. It was a gold company. Gold company was sponsoring that, not anybody else who was in the freedom medical movement or whatever. And the ones in it criticize it because they don't fully agree with what my thought of depopulation is. Well, sorry. I mean, that's what it is.
So let's talk about your latest project and how people can support that, because I think that's a good point you made. Like, and I've talked about this off air with you, and we've talked about how there's no money in the freedom movement. Like, where when we really need people to just stump up and help us and support us, it's very, very few that will. Like, I've got a few hundred supporters who pay £5 a month, and they're the ones that keep me going. But most people listen for free, and all I'm asking them to do is share my content and hit the like button. That's all I'm asking. But with you, you're doing all these movies. You've not made any money from them, and I think it's important that you do make money from them. And I think it's important you don't get sued off, by some goddamn person again. You're doing great work. You're doing God's work. Now, this new movie that you've got coming, like, how can people support it? How can they fund it? Do you have a crowd support? What's the system? Direct people towards that.
We haven't done like a crowd, like a GoFundMe or anything. What we did was we have a website called ds2nano.com. So it's ds with the numeral 2 nano.com. There you get to see all my films are there for free. You've watched, that's where you clicked on them and watched the films. You get to see the synopsis of the films, and then you get to see the trailer. And then there's a button where you can go to become a producer. Look, if you want to give money, I want to put you on the film. The movie, The Greatest Reset, we had 7 minutes of credits at the end of it from people donating to the film. I wouldn't even have made this film unless this whistleblower came to me. And then I still didn't do it until I could verify what this guy was telling me, because what he was telling me was the most insane thing I have heard. But look, all the technology is like all this smoke around what he was saying, but he was the fire. I sent what he told me, which he was a part of a data collecting firm, one of the biggest around. I haven't revealed it yet. And 2019, he was in a meeting as the project manager. He was going to facilitate. Now, this was BioNTech was in the meeting. This is 2019, before the pandemic, with 5 countries, and they were coming up with how they're going to extract data from people who had taken the vaccine. Like, I can't think of anything bigger. So then but I can't have him just alone disbelieve this guy. I looked at his notes. He kept the notes. I looked at his badges. Then I sent this to some epidemiologists, some virologists around who have been looking at this. And David Nixon wrote back to me. He said, "Thank God, this is what we've been waiting for. Someone who is using what they've seen in the microscope, in a microscopy, seeing self-assembly technology, wondering what it's being used for, being told that this guy has applications of this technology to extract data from people who have been injected with it." I said, okay, I guess this has died suddenly too. I mean, it's been 4 years almost since Died Suddenly. I wasn't planning on making another one of these. But when this comes to me, and then I have all this circumstantial evidence around it, I have to pursue it, my friend. And there's been some great people who have donated to the project. We just secured a sponsor yesterday. We haven't released who it is yet, but they gave us enough money to where we're about to go and start shooting this. So you see there, it's me and Edward. That's it. I shoot, edit, direct, write the question. This is me. I'm out there slugging around equipment. Edward's with me. It ain't easy. But look, I'm here just to serve. Like, I want to serve. I want to use my talents to serve humanity. And I'm going to do that because I love the creation of God, what he made. I love my children. I want my children to live in a world that is not the world that they want us to live in. Period.
You know what?
And if we don't succeed, my films live forever. And in 50 years, if they live in a land where you can't think for yourself and they have to watch my films in an underground bunker, at least they'll know there was people here who saw what was being made, and they were trying to get it out. So maybe that's what it's for.
Oh man, same. I think, my kids, at least they're gonna have a library where they can hear their daddy. Like, I miss my dad so much. They've got like 350 episodes where they can hear me talk about them and how much I love them. And the reason why I'm doing this is for them and their future. I'm 50 next week. I've had a really good life. I've traveled, I've experienced. I don't want to say it on air. Do I have to say it on air?
Mine is the 21st. Mine's next week.
Hold on a sec. I'm pausing. Mine's the 30th. So, well, happy birthday to you, my friend. We're just like just a few days apart.
Where I'll be in Canada, because I'm working on developing another film in Canada for the trucker convoy. The people who reached out to me, who involved with this Great Awakening movement in Canada, they want to do a film on the trucker convoy, which didn't get a lot of press. But I'm going up there to interview a lady who's about, what you pulling down?
I identify as a trucker. I identify as a trucker.
Good for you. So this lady, she was feeding the truckers. She's about to go to jail for mischief. That's what she got charged with, for literally feeding truckers. She's about to go to prison. So I'm going to go up there and interview her before she goes to jail, and see if I can help make a movie for these to showcase. It's not about the trucker convoy and like the COVID and stuff. It's about the character of the people who stood in the gap.
Yeah.
And I think that's who we need to champion. I was going to make this movie called The Tip of the Spear, where it was going to showcase just the people who stand up for like who are at the forefront of this. It hadn't been made yet. I don't know if it is going to get made. Maybe God doesn't want to highlight people. He wants to highlight himself. I don't know. But I know this new movie died, the Nano Sapien movie. Bro, if that is real, we are in some real trouble. If
Yeah.
70% of Americans are fully vaccinated, okay? Now, if this stuff is in a third of them, half of them, the technology is real. I cannot stress this. There is nanotechnology in the vaccines. They have seen it in microscopy in multiple labs. I'm going to go to these labs. I'm going to film them, interview them. I want to find out the company who made this technology, who use biotech to insert it in people. Like pray. It's just pray for me and my family for safety. This is a real deal. Support if you can. I don't know if anything bigger than this, dude. It's like,
Dude, you can't stop making
crazy.
movies. Yeah, but you can't stop making movies. You need to keep making them. You need to do that trucker one. You need to do one
Oh
on
yeah,
Kirk. You need to do one on Kirk Moore. You need to do one on the medical
yeah.
industrial complex, all the problem with that. I mean, there's so much work that you need to do. You're doing good work. Look,
And we
we need we
highlight different movies. Like you can go to Manifest. Manifest is my ministry that we work on. We shot in Utah. That's another view. This has nothing to do with COVID. Nothing. This has to do with mending people, making people whole again, seeing how God actually works. Not church fails people. People go to church for 20 years and not change one bit because they don't ever experience God. God's not in
I,
a building.
I agree.
God, it's called We Are the Living Stones. We are the living stones, and we move. Where we move, God moves.
Dude,
Don't be stagnant in some.
the reason why I gave up on religion is because so many religious people of all denominations and faiths have
Oh
disappointed
yeah,
me, and I didn't see God in them. And
you
here I
won't. A
am.
lot of times you won't.
I don't follow any religion, but I have God in my heart every day. You know, I've stood next to a Christian who preaches at a local church, and he goes, you
Yeah.
know, the problem with this world is there's too many people. And I turned around to him and I said, that's the most
Yeah.
ungodly, unchristian like thing you could
Yeah.
possibly say. And he went,
Yeah.
why?
That's.
And he didn't even see like and remember Malthus was a clergyman. He was a Christian.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is
There's a
like, yeah,
stenographer too. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
these people, you know, they might wear religion on their sleeve, but it's not in their heart. Not in their heart.
Just think of the Crusades. You think Christ want to go around killing people with swords for it? It's like the Inquisition, like burning people because they're distributing a Bible.
Yeah.
Do not let man corrupt the beautiness of God. The beautiful, like amazing, like God is this love. Christ is love. That's it. You love where have you heard love your enemies? Like that's how you fight it, my friend. You fight it with loving your enemies, loving your fellow man. That's our movies are dark, but they're made with love because I want you to get out of this veil of this. You guys have been lied to your whole life, and you can get out of it.
Yeah. I would rather live in truth, even though it's harder, than live the lie in
Yeah,
comfort. You know, and that's what
one
people
hundred
need to get used
percent.
to. So, like before we wrap up, just a few things. What do you think of Epstein and Trump and Bobby and
Oh my god. Okay, so check this out. Man, God puts me in situations that are so unreal. The day Epstein killed himself, I was in New Mexico. Jeffrey Epstein had a ranch called Zorro Ranch in New Mexico where he was going to repopulate the world with his seed. That's what he was going to do in this ranch. I was there working on the USS Liberty film, and I was going to talk to Pete McCloskey. He was a congressman. So I went there. I woke up in the hotel. I was going to only be there one night. I wake up, Jeffrey Epstein's killed himself. I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, he killed himself. I mean, it's just the MO. Of course he did, right? So I go to the interview at like 9 or 10 in the morning, and he's already been hitting a few ones, man. And he was in no shape to be interviewed. And I was like, I told Ed, I was like, hey, I will come back tomorrow. But I said, let's go to Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch and see if anybody's there. Me and Ed went to his ranch. We parked in like this desert area, walked over this mountain. Then we trekked 2 miles in this ravine, and we went to his ranch. I flew a drone into his ranch inside the compound, and there's all these crazy, which we found out were African fertility gods everywhere. So then we go on to his property. There is no gates, no nothing. We go up on there, and you could feel evil. I swear to you, I felt like people had been buried there. We go around to the front, and there's cars there. There's like people there. And we go in the front, and then I heard these dogs bark, and then we took off running, and then there we saw ATVs looking for us, and it was quite the ordeal. I'll tell you the whole story. But I say this, this man, then we went to New York. I was in New York, and I have a picture I'll send you. We went to his mansion in New York at Park Avenue, the largest home in New York City, like square feet was his home, right? He had one client, Wex Lexner. But you know what's crazy, dude? We went around, so it shared an alley, right? So I was like, I want to see what's behind this penthouse. There are cameras. We were knocking on the door. Nobody answered the door. We went around, and it was the Vatican's emissary was sharing the back to back doors with Jeffrey Epstein's and the Vatican, like emissary to the United Nations were there. And a nun opened the door and let us in. And we walked around that place by ourselves. It was so surreal. I had a live view and a camera on me. I was live in this place, and I went back to the back, and they had the same alleyway, the same. So I don't know, man. I know Jeffrey Epstein was probably an agent for the Mossad, the CIA, running a honey trap. I have something to tell you. I can't release it right now, but no, I can't. Edward's in talk with somebody who was involved in that, the whole that as a victim. And if we get, can you take this off record, this part?
I'll pause. Okay, wow, shit. Wow. Oh,
So,
fuck me. Okay.
So back to Epstein. Epstein had all sorts of people at his island, politicians, MIT professors, bankers, celebrities, the who's who. I mean, Stephen Hawking's was there, bro. I mean, I'm talking about everybody, presidents, and nothing. What did Ghislaine go to jail for? Who are the victims? Like, supposedly this is all made up. This was a Democratic hoax. Okay,
Yeah.
like this is it was the who's who. The same thing happened with Diddy, but more on the celebrity, music, and sports. His was the same thing, bro. Man, darkness, to abuse women, children, if children involved. What we've heard with the Epstein, it wasn't as much children as it was just like women and escorts and people held without. They were young, but what we have heard, it wasn't like 5 or 6 year olds. It was like maybe 14, which is still bad. Young women. The thing is, Jeffrey Epstein went to jail here in Florida. He was convicted, you know, and then let go. They knew who he was. And, it's a shame, man. We accept that. man dying in a cell and accept the attorney general playing a tape where a minute is taken out of it. We accept 9/11 for whatever they tell us the commission came up. We accept John F. Kennedy getting killed when there's all this CIA involvement, all this mafia involvement. I mean, at a point, we get what we deserve. You know, if we're not going to stay, we revolted against the country for T-tax. For T-tax, bro. Now we get taxed for just breathing. We're gonna have carbon tax just to breathe. Like, we get what we deserve to a point.
We get what we deserve. I've been saying the same thing. I've been saying the same thing. I think we deserve to be treated the way we are by the predator class, because look at us. Look at us. This is what it all comes back to when people say, what do? We all have to up our game. Stop eating their crap. Stop consuming their garbage. Don't subscribe to the BBC license. Don't subscribe to CNN or Fox or Netflix. Do you know what? Support your movie. Support my podcast. If that makes me a grifter, so be it. Share our content with people. Wake them up. Counter all the misinformation you're being fed. Block off the TV. Don't consume their garbage. Don't have smart devices in your home. Matt, very, very quickly, I just want to say, don't have an. Sorry, just one very quickly. Don't have an Alexa in your house. When people say, "Oh, Alexa, just don't do that. Don't have smart things around your house. Get rid of all of it. You know, stop using AI.
There is something.
Grok, what do you think of this, Grok? Like, don't ask Grok. You know, sorry, you're saying. So I'm just saying.
There's a person eating an ice cream cone. They're like, Grok, what does that mean? Like a girl's eating an ice cream cone, you dummy. Like, what is this? Ask Grok everything. It's like how I started this. You are the proverbial frog in the pot, you big dummies. Okay. And they are seasoning it. They're keeping it room warm temperature. You're going to die in that pot. Okay. You will die in the pot. My point is, you have to get out of the pot. Now, my solution is always Christ is it. He's the only ark who's going to get off of you. That's for me. And that's what I have to proclaim. And hopefully people see the truth and the light in that. But if you're not going to go down that route, then get unplugged, like you say, and get connected to people who are actually doing things and not just trying to sell a product. If the product is our voice and our bringing other people like-minded to chat and get their thoughts on video, then support that, right? That's a commodity, like going to get a coffee. You don't say, hey, Starbucks, man, you grifters, you're selling me that coffee again, you bean grifter. It's like, no, you consume the freaking coffee because it gives you stimulus. You consume information because it helps you navigate the world you live in. Respect it. How they've done such a great job, and I was saying this when I rudely interrupted, which I do interrupt a lot. They use words like conspiracy theory as a weapon, because the ones who bring the truth, they'll say you're conspiracy theory. I'm a conspiracy fact. My conspiracy theories are fact. They always come as a theory and are proven to be factual. It just takes a little time to get to that point. Okay. I'm a little ahead of the curve. Now, grifters, that's another word that we'll use for people outside the system to want to monetize what they're doing because it's actually helping. But they'll put that grifter. They use words as weapons. Okay. There are grifters. There are conspiracy theorists, right? But navigate to the ones who are actually providing a service, and you don't see them whoring themselves out to every time to make a quick buck. Yeah. I've turned down $1 million contracts before. You're like, what? You're full of shit. I did. I turned down a big opportunity with 3-picture deal after the Greatest Reset. I won't say who I did it with, but I did because they wanted to control my narrative of my film. And I said no. And my wife was very angry. But I had to say, what am I going to use it for? Like, why am I going to talk about these things if not for the things that are put on my heart?
Dude,
right?
I've turned down
Hopefully I
money
don't
as
make
well.
another. Hopefully I don't. Well, you used to be a doctor, dude. You know that took a lot of time and effort to do that, man, and that's a sacrifice. And we all have to sacrifice a little bit. But I don't want to make these movies over and over. I want to make movies that showcase goodness too, and I do when I have time. Manifest. You go watch that movie on ds2nano.com. That movie I made for free because it's just so beautiful. You know, see people change, like little kids transfer their lives in 3 days. So beautiful. Omo Child, beautiful movie about a guy who left his tribe that were sacrificing his kids to a ritual abuse. Uh, dude, watch that movie. Unbelievable. Go Before Me. Another one. Beautiful. I mean, I still talk with Lolly from that movie, and that was done 15. Uh,
Dude, listen, can I just say
man,
something?
I just,
I'm going to have to wrap
yeah.
up soon. I'm so sorry, but I need to go pick up my
Yeah,
kids.
go ahead.
We need to have you back on in a couple of months. Please come back on. I could talk to you for another 2 hours. I could easily. Come back in
Easy.
2 months. But listen, sorry for cutting you off in mid flow, but we're running out of time. Because the last question might take some time for you to answer, and I want you to have good 5 minutes. Look,
Okay.
you're on your deathbed. You're gonna meet your maker. You're gonna meet God soon. And your loved ones, your children, your wife, everyone's around you. Okay. Before you die, pass on, what words of wisdom and advice are you going to tell everyone around you?
Yeah, amazing question. Um, yeah, before I got my film started getting to where they were, I did have that moment with my dad. He passed away uh unexpectedly right before he met my child, right? My beautiful son was just born. My dad had a stroke. Uh, before that, I guess he had a mini one and didn't realize, he didn't even know I had a son. So
Oh,
then the next day, my mom said he collapsed, and I went to his bedside and I held his hand for a week, and I watched him pass away. And I never got to. It's really interesting because we had a fishing trip planned 2 months after that, and he had everything like written out, all the lures and everything. And my dad wasn't a man of many words. He was we'd sit together for 8 hours, not say anything, but had a great. I love that time, right? But I never got to tell him everything that I forgave him with. That fishing trip was going to be the time where I said, Dad, I got my new son. I got my films are starting to go. I forgive you for all these things, because I was going to wait for that perfect time. And what I say is, don't wait for that perfect time. The perfect
mhm.
time is when God puts it on your heart to do it. I don't want to wait till my dying last breath to tell people the things that I wanted to tell them. I want to tell them right then and now. I learned that valuable lesson when I held my dad and they took him off the machines, and I didn't have that time. I told him, but I don't even know if he heard me. I do know my dad's with me. I know our ancestors are with us. They live on. Um, and I don't want to wait till that dying last breath. But when I do have that one, I want to just say that I love them and that I'll see them soon. And just do what God puts on your heart, because he has an impression of what he wants to do. He puts it on your heart. The world will try to take it away from you and stamp it out and tell you you're not good enough or that's stupid. Don't listen to them. Everybody has a reason to be here, no matter how high or how low. Everybody was made for a reason. Do not let the enemy tell you otherwise. You're made in his image, a beautiful image. And this world we live in is so beautiful. The sunset you get to see in the morning, the sunrise, the freshness of a mowed yard. I love, the rain off of the asphalt when it just rains on a hot day. I mean, there's so many beautiful things. So cherish those beautiful things. Tell the loved ones that you love them. Uh, yeah, that's all we can do. We just love each other as God loved us.
Oh, Matt, you're such a beautiful soul. You're definitely a brother from another mother, and we've never met, but you're a friend for life. And one day, I'm confident we will
Amen to
meet.
that.
One day we will meet.
Dude,
We
I'm gonna
will.
be out in the UK next month or something. Where are you at?
Just outside London.
Okay, yeah, I'll be there. I gotta connect you with Jim Ferguson, dude. You guys will hit it off.
I've
He
got
was
his
part of the
details.
Brexit thing.
I've got his details. Don't worry,
You
I'll
want
be
me
in
to
touch there.
connect you to?
No,
You
I've got
got
his
it? I
details.
think you got it. Oh, okay,
I've got his details.
good.
I've got his details.
I'm
I'll
gonna
connect
be
with him.
out in the UK recording this thing with this guy with this Bluetooth thing. I just had a meeting with him a couple days ago, so I will be out in the UK, and when I am there, we are going to go have some whatever you guys do over there, some tea and biscuits or whatever it is.
No, sod
We're
that.
going to get together,
Sod that.
and
We'll
I
go
can't
out to a
wait to
really
give you a
nice.
big hug.
We'll go out to a really nice steakhouse. Listen, after this recording, you need to tell me exactly what dates and times you're coming. Like I've like rammed with my calendar.
I don't know
Want
yet. I just know they are. We just got big funding for. I would say big. We got enough funding to start traveling. So praise God for that. We're gonna start shooting now. I was waiting for a shooting. So I get back from Canada, and then I'm gonna start laying down the map of where I'm gonna go in the world. And
Dude, maybe you
we're
can shoot with
definitely
me
gonna be.
then. Maybe you can shoot with me, and because I think somewhere you need to tie in the medical industrial complex, the lack of medical ethics and informed consent, and the communitarianism. And if you want, I can talk about all that stuff. I'm just pitching
I
for
like the
myself now.
communitarianism. I like that aspect. The medical stuff I've already covered that. That's thing that people understand the no consent thing, and I beat that with a dead horse, dude. What I'm saying is in the vial in people's bodies, I have to prove this guy that is true. Everything around it is. I got to start digging. I'm like, who manufactured this? Like, it's diabolical, dude. It is diabolical. If this is really truly in people, I'm gonna be in the UK. This guy did 4 different tests on people who are vaccinated, and showing where the Bluetooth is emitting from their body. This
Wow.
is as crazy as it sounds. It is real, dude.
Dude,
So,
I'll come and meet you guys.
but as
Let's do
my
it.
films go, it's just not about that. It's about control. It's about why they're doing it. It's about the overarching like world they want to create. So communitarianism, I got it right here. I'll interview you for that. You will be in my next film.
All right, amazing. All right, bro.
You
I
just
love
work
you so
yourself
much.
in.
Right. Great.
Love you too, bro.
I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts, and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations, and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence, and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm, or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.